Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live E3 Roundup, our annual Roundup that Dan Torrey started for us a couple of years ago.
We didn't really expect that at the outset, but it's been cool to get together every year and talk about the new announcements and stuff, for sure.
It really has. Well, the reason that I've always been willing to do this show is because you do all of the research.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate that. The first year we did this, Dan just sends me a whole bunch of links to things and tells me to watch them. And he's like, we're going to do the C3 show. And Dan really gave me no choice. He was just like, we're going to do the show. And here's all these things you need to watch. And I'm like, Dan, you know that I'm not like that much of a modern gamer and I don't really know what I'm looking at. He's like, yeah, I don't care. Look at it. Do it. And so I did. And then I talked about things that I was not remotely qualified to talk about. And I don't remember, Dan, if the first year we did our top 5 list, I think we did that, but we also talked about kind of like, we did a rundown, we talked about everything. We're not going to do that this year. We're going to pretty much just do our top 5 and then maybe some runners up. And there might be, I'm sure there will be some titles that get thrown out as we're going through that we'll mention briefly, but we're not going to be meticulous, go down the list of everything that was announced from every studio.
Yeah, that would take way too long. I watched the majority of the conferences. Some of them I didn't bother with just because, like, I don't know, there are companies that I'm not excited about most of the content they put out. But I watched, like, the big ones, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, EA, Ubisoft. And it would take a long time to go through all those. So
let me check my settings real quick. Somebody says I'm echoing.
Oh,
and I'm not sure why that would be happening. But I'm checking that. Folks, let me know if I still sound weird. Oh yeah, Grady just says that we're both echoing.
Oh, weird.
I don't know what's causing that. I'm wearing headphones. You're wearing earbuds. I don't understand that.
Yeah. Huh.
Weird. Okay. Well, let us know if it's getting any better at all. Dan, I don't know if there's any kind of settings you can adjust on your end.
I don't think so.
Oh, Sam Burbia says we sound 5. So it might have been a personal problem with one person. I'm not totally sure.
Everyone's saying we're good now, so it looks good.
Okay, excellent, cool. All right, well, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Before the show, and let me say, first of all, that we meant to do this last week, and Dan and I couldn't get our schedules coordinated, so that's why we're finally jumping on and talking about games that were announced at E3. Dan, right away before we get into our list, I just want to echo something you said before we started recording, which is, was not super impressed or enthusiastic about the conference on the whole this year. Of a lot of the stuff I saw, there are some things on my list that seem intriguing and that I'm kind of excited about, but companies that I was hoping I would hear something from that didn't pop in, and other companies that just didn't talk about enough stuff.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of the things that I'm really excited about are kind of way far off in the future. Like we had a lot of companies sort of that have been in the background working on things for a while come out and say, like, yeah, this is what our game is called, and either, you know, just straight up tell us what the title of the thing is and nothing else, or give us a trailer that's really vague with the title of the game in it. So I don't know that I'm going to have a ton of analysis on, like, the intricacies of the gameplay of the things we showed, because most of the stuff I was excited about is stuff that's going to be coming out in 2019 and later on. So
yeah, and then things that are almost upon us. So I want to say right away that Spider-Man's not on my list. We can talk about Spider-Man, but yeah. Hi, Eric. Eric makes random cameos sometimes. It could be. We should give away prizes for that. You know, like spot the Eric, and then we send you something in the mail. But Dan, Spider-Man's coming out in September. It's the hype is real with that game. It's all anybody seems to be talking about, and obviously that's going to be on my list. That has been on my list before previously. So everybody just count that as my official, like, number 1 or number 2, and then I want to talk about other things that I wouldn't be able to put on the list if Spider-Man was on the list.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm really excited about that game, too. It doesn't make my list for all the reasons you stated and the fact that I don't have a PS4, so I can't play it. So,
yeah. Hopefully somebody will... Maybe you can go to somebody's house or something.
Yeah, I think my girlfriend might buy a PS4 because she doesn't have one of the next-gen systems yet, and like The Last of Us 2, she really wants to play, so...
I thought maybe you'd get lucky and your roommate had one or something.
No.
That sucks.
We do not have one. We share the my Xbox. That's the gaming system in the living room. And then I have my Switch and my PC in my room over there off camera.
that way.
Yeah, so yeah, I wish I was able to play it, but I'm hoping that my girlfriend has a PS4 around that comes out, and I'll be able to at least watch her play it or something.
I've been getting a lot of questions about it. People want me to talk about it, and like I'm going to be doing gameplay when it comes out in a couple of months. But Dan, maybe before we get to our list, we could just real briefly talk about stuff that came out for that. I wanted to avoid it, and I got too many people begging me to say something about it. So I went ahead and looked at footage, and it happily didn't give too much away. I was like, I don't like, I'm gonna buy this game. I've looked at trailers already. I looked at the opening 10 minutes of the game already. I don't really want anything else spoiled, and I caved. And I went ahead and looked at that footage because people asked me to. And it's mostly what I got out of it is here's some designs for some of the kind of Sinister Sixty villains, and here's what the combat's going to look like, which is really fluid and impressive, and I'm very interested in that. And then it's got Spider-Man 2-esque open world. That's what I got from that. So I got a little bit more of a sense of what the gameplay of that game is going to be. But happily, it didn't give away a lot of story stuff. And when people started saying, "Oh, Cap, you're going to hate this game. It's written by Dan Slott," I was worried that they were saying that because they learned new things about the story that was going to make me cringe. And there's none of that yet. So
yeah, I mean, not that the story of the game is unimportant, but I think the story is a little bit less important in this context because, like, obviously I'd like to have the story be great and as good as the Arkham games, but if we have Slott right and the gameplay is still fantastic and it's still a great time to run around and play as Spider-Man, like, I don't know, I feel like that's, at this point, good enough for me. I'd obviously, like I said, really like the story to be up to snuff, but I'm not too worried about it. I feel like
I'm not either.
Most of Dan Slott's plots in comic books are kind of a, fanboy, let's throw everything in the Spider-Man universe into one pot and play with those toys for a while. And I feel like that might be good for a video game. If it's
That's what I was going to say. I think his style is more conducive for that, for a video game. And it's not long form.
Yeah.
And he's not good at long form.
He worked on the story for, I believe, Shattered Dimensions, which was a pretty decent game that came out on PS3 and probably on Wii as well, but I played it on 360.
I loved that game.
Yeah, I thought the game was really fun. So I'm not too worried about it, but yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Dan, I almost have to think about video games that are story driven with two different brains. Like you might have a great game in the dictionary definition of game. Like, it's fun to play, and the mechanics work, and the win condition makes sense. Like a game, right? And then there's Scott McCall just gave us a $2 super chat. Thanks for that. And says that Dan Slott is only one of many writers in the game. That I didn't know if that's the case.
Oh, wow. I haven't done a live show in so long. I had no idea what this giant blue comment was when it popped up.
Well, so Dan, folks can give us a little donation to make sure that we read their comment.
That's interesting.
That's what the super chats are for. Yeah, no, it's wonderful. Cool. And has, by the way, been helping us out immensely on the channel lately. We've been doing a lot of live shows. Folks come out of the woodwork and give us sometimes super chats, and it's been a really wonderful boon to the channel. So as I always say, thanks a bunch to everybody that does that, and I will always make sure. And if I mess up, people make sure and let me know. But I will always make sure that I read your super chat if there's a super chat.
That's actually really cool. Well, thank you. What was your name again?
Scott McCall. What sucks is when I get them on live streams with video games because I can't tell their super chats there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the PS4 is set up so that you can see all the comments on your screen, on the sidebar, but it doesn't tell you when they're super chats. So the other night, when people started trying to put in super chats, I asked them to write super chat in front of it, and I would just work on the honor system. And people made fun of that. They started spelling a super chat wrong, and yeah, it was a whole thing.
That's awesome.
It was really funny. But anyway, so to my point about good video games versus good stories in video games, a video game review from me would be very different from a rewind from me on a video game potentially. So like Arkham Knight is not a good story, but it's probably my favorite of the three gameplay wise.
Yeah, except for the Batmobile segments, I wasn't a huge fan of that. But like everything
sure.
else was much as refined as those games ever got. You know.
Well, and the world is huge and it's fun to explore and.
Yeah. It's fun to actually drive the Batmobile around the city. Just when you have to do the tanky stuff is when I.
No, that stuff sucks, and the race courses are great.
Yes, that's true. They are.
They should make that its own game. I would play the crap out of that.
I'm surprised they haven't done like a Batmobile racing game.
I don't know if you're into racing at all, but and again, I'm not a big racing fan. I would buy that tomorrow, man. Like that would be so much fun. And put in a multiplayer and make it like do a Batmobile kart racer. Like it would be really cool.
That would be really cool. That'd be awesome.
But anyway, I kind of digress. But that's how I feel about the whole story thing. I'm not real concerned about that. Like, I'll be disappointed if the story, totally sucks. But I'm gonna look at it as kind of, almost two different things.
I just view this as out of the gate like Marvel's first attempt to enter into the AAA gaming space in a while because they've kind of been laying dormant with. Trying to figure out what to do post revoke or not renewing the contract they had with Activision before for the exclusive development and publishing rights. So I'm hoping that this game is good enough that people like it. It sells well, so they'll be encouraged to do more. They've already got an Avengers game in development with Square Enix. We got a trailer for last E3, which I'm really surprised Square Enix didn't show any of it this E3. I was really surprised we didn't see any of that Avengers game at all. Like, it wasn't even mentioned. So it must be.
You'd think it would get another teaser or something at the very least.
It must be like really early in development. They must have just like signed the ink on the paper as they made that CG trailer for it that they showed us last time.
But Dan, that didn't stop Starfield.
Yeah, true.
You know what I know about that game? It's space. That's what I know.
Which is. I'll talk about it as we go along here, but I'm really excited about that game. Regardless
I don't know anything about it. I wanted to put it on my list. I don't know anything about it.
Well, I will tell you things about it.
Oh, really? Good, because I couldn't find much on that. Okay, well, maybe my list will change as Dan is talking. Were you surprised that Rocksteady didn't show up?
Yeah, I was really surprised that we didn't see really much of a DC presence at all. That I can think of off the top of my head. Like, we just got a new Injustice game, so obviously that team's working on the next installment of Mortal Kombat, I would assume, because they've been switching off every 2 years. They have a 2-year dev cycle for those, and they'll release one every year. Or has it been every 2 years? I'm not a big fighting game person, so I don't follow the release dates of those.
It's been. I'm sorry. Which franchise are we talking about?
You know how
I was looking at comments.
The team that makes the Mortal Kombat games and Injustice, they rotate.
Yes.
So do those games come out every 2 years or every year?
It's every 2 years because we didn't get one this year because Injustice was last year and they didn't put out a Mortal Kombat, so it must be 2 years.
Okay, so I assumed they're working on Mortal Kombat, so we couldn't have gotten any of that.
Right.
I think the only thing they really showed was that did they do anything with the new Lego DC game? I didn't watch what they put out for it. If they talked.
No,
about
I didn't see. You talking about villains? I didn't see anything about that. But they gave us. That's the other thing too, Dan. Is I saw a few trailers for major things and things that I cared more about than things that we saw at E3 just before E3.
Yeah, and even after too, there were a few things.
Really?
Yeah, for me anyway. So yeah, I feel like this E3 was a little lame. Personally,
I did too. It was well, and for my money, because I'm a real choosy gamer and I'm not a big modern gamer. I'm trying to get more into things and trying more things out, Dan, and kind of casting my tentacles out, but it was a lot of sequels in franchises that I don't care about already, and like I watched some of those, and I will say I have at least one thing on my list that is a sequel to or is in a franchise that I have never played before. That cool. I like. Actually, I have two of those. So like I did my homework. I looked at that stuff, but RPG stuff that I don't really care about, and just there weren't a lot of new EPs really. And the ones that we got were things that are well on the horizon.
Yeah, exactly. This what seemed like
EP isn't an IP. EP is like vinyl records.
It seems to me that either like the developers and the publishers are kind of like just kind of riding it out till the next generation begins, or they're just kind of rebuilding and have a bunch of things in the pipeline that they were only able to show us like brief teasers of. But I guess we'll see as the years go on.
I want to ask you one more thing before we get into our list, because I'm just going to reveal another game that would be on my list, except we were talking technically about things that were showcased at E3, and if they're, because I'm just going on Dan's research. I didn't look up anything else. So if there was anything on this and I didn't get it, it's Dan's fault. But Dan, did Nintendo not do anything for Pokemon?
They put out a Pokemon-related like bunch of trailers for the new Pokemon Switch game before E3, and then in their direct, they basically just showed the same trailer again. So,
is that all that was? Yeah, okay. Well, that's not on my list just because we're strictly talking about things that were showcased real hard at E3, but that would be on my list if it weren't for that. I don't know if you put it on your list.
I didn't put it on my list because
good. So we're on even footing there. Oh, now, is it not on your list because of that, or are you actually not really stoked about that?
Oh, I'm excited about it. Not as excited as I would be if it was a core main series Pokemon game where the gameplay was the same as like the ones that are on the 3DS and stuff. But I am excited that we're finally getting a Pokemon-esque game, at least for Switch. And I didn't put it on there just because it wasn't shown at E3.
Okay. So I've never played Pokemon. That's not a thing I thought I would care about. I have this weird thing, and I've said this before, where, Dan, sometimes I get really excited about things just because they're doing good business and I'm impressed with the advertising. The trailer for that Pokemon game was amazing.
Yeah, it was
because
great.
It's everything I would do with the Switch if I were a corporate guy trying to sell a Pokemon game on that system. The Pokeball peripheral is brilliant. It's a stroke of genius.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
And the fact that it connects to Pokemon Go is also genius, and a thing that I didn't think they would be smart enough to do. And like the fact that you can use Pokemon that you get anywhere in the world in the game, that's what I would have done. I just think that's really cool.
It is cool. And I think it's smart business for them to try to tap into that Pokemon market to try to move some of those people over to a dedicated gaming console, for that reason.
Yeah.
It's sort of like an expansion of Pokemon Go in a way, because it's like all of that with more on top of it.
And I played that a little, which is why it felt like an entry-level Pokemon game for me. And so, like, I get why folks like you might not be as excited about it, but it's about the thing they had to make me actually attempt Pokemon.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit more simplified in the RPG mechanics. So if you and the kids get your own Pokemon teams and stuff, you can battle each other. That might be pretty fun for you guys. I'm sure there'll be some intense Pokemon competition in the house if you guys.
I get excited about. Yeah, maybe that will be the time to finally start over on Geekvolution: The Next Generation, the Freddy vs. Jason show. We've been talking about that forever. When Freddy was born, we were like, when he's old enough, we're going to do a show called Freddy vs. Jason. And Freddy's only 3.5, and you wouldn't think that he's ready for that, but that kid can play Mario Kart. Like, he can really play Mario Kart. We got a $2 super chat from Random Reviewer. He says, are you excited? Oh, he wants to know, Dan, if you're excited for my, this is off topic, but people can do this with super chats. If you are excited about my superhero rewind that I'm working on for the first season of Daredevil.
Oh yeah, that should be really cool. I mean, I like that season a lot, and Cap is good at reviewing superhero stuff, so I'm sure it'll come out great.
Thanks, Dan. That's an awkward thing for me to say out loud. I wish we had a chat moderator. So those are the two big things that should be on my list, but aren't on technicalities.
Okay, yeah, there were a few things that I could have put on my list that I didn't. Just because they were barely edged out by titles of things that I found to be more exciting than them. But yeah, we'll talk about it when we get into it, I suppose.
All right, let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we, Dan?
Yes.
What is your number 5? We'll let you get started.
My number 5 is Starfield, the new IP announced by Bethesda. So this has been a game that's been rumored for a very long time.
Dan, tell me about Starfield.
Starfield is the new IP that Bethesda Game Studios is doing. It's as far as we know, supposed to be in a similar sort of vein to their open world RPGs that they've been making since the beginning of the company, the Elder Scrolls series, and when they bought the Fallout license, starting with 3. So it's going to be more of a hard science fiction universe where you're out in the vast reaches of space, unlike Fallout, which is sort of a post-apocalyptic throwbacky to 50s American culture set on Earth kind of world. I mean, there's science fiction-y things in it, in that there's like super mutants and like wacky, mad sciencey kind of stuff, but it's like 50s B-movie science fiction, and this is like Star Trek. It's kind of science fiction. And I think that's really exciting. I think it's really exciting that Bethesda's taking a crack at the hard, science fiction with aliens and that kind of thing. I'm just really excited to see what kind of world they come up with, because their worlds are always so rich, dense, so much detail meticulously put into those worlds, and I love.
Yeah, I wasn't even paying enough attention to who the studio was for that. That's really exciting.
Yeah, so they put out
everyone imagine that's on my list, because that's obvious. That obviously sounds like a game made for me.
Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, depending on what it actually looks like when we see any sort of footage from it. This is supposed to come out before the Elder Scrolls 6, which I'm also really excited for because I love those games. But I put Starfield on there because honestly, I thought it would be more interesting to talk about, because the Elder Scrolls 6, we have no information on it other than, yeah, it's another Elder Scrolls game. This is a game that people have been asking about for a long time. Bethesda's been kind of coy denying that it exists, or saying that they have exciting projects in the pipeline. So I'm just really excited to see what they do with that kind of thing. And yeah, that should be awesome.
That's exciting. So is that 2019 or is that later?
I don't think they put a date on it. Bethesda usually, I'm actually surprised they even announced this game, because their thing recently, at least with the Fallout games, is announcing that the game exists and then launching it in like 2 months or 3 months and doing a big expose thing in the summer at E3. That's what they did with Fallout 4. That's what they did with 76 at this show.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised they even announced it, but I would assume after Fallout 76, that's going to be their next big project. I don't think they've gone into full swing development with it yet, because 76 is the new thing that they were working on. Like, they didn't farm out Fallout 76 to another studio like they did with the Elder Scrolls Online, which was kind of the multiplayer online version of that series. Which I thought was pretty decent. But we'll talk about Fallout 76 later. But yeah, I'm just really excited about Starfield and seeing Bethesda do something new, because they've been alternating for a while now, doing Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and I think it's going to be potentially invigorating for them as a studio and us as fans of that studio to see them do something completely new and different. So that should be cool. Dan,
I think your mic must be your mic on your headphones, because we're hearing it rustle a lot whenever you move it around.
Oh, really? I'll put my other ear one in. Maybe that'll stop it from rustling around. Does that sound any better?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it's fine as long as you're not touching it. I think do you have a microphone in the earbuds? Yeah, it's like right here, I think. Yeah. Whenever you touch it.
Oh, okay, cool. I will try to not talk with my hands as much.
That's cool. Just don't fidget with it. So, do you think that games like this are a direct response at all to the weirdness that happened with No Man's Sky?
I don't know. I think Starfield is a game that's been rumored to be in development for a long time. So I don't know if they might have even started working on this before anyone knew about No Man's Sky being a thing. I don't think this is going to be space exploration in the sense that like you're going to go around to planets and they're going to be like randomly generated or anything. Bethesda's quest lines are usually pretty linear, and the dungeons are usually pre-designed. Like in the early Elder Scrolls days, they would do like randomly generated dungeons and stuff like that. But most of the stuff is very meticulously built to create the experience for the player. So I think it's going to be a different kind of game, just with a similar setting.
I get that it's a totally different thing. Yeah. It just seems like open world space is kind of in the air right now, but maybe that's because open world in general is popular.
Yeah, that's true. And I think Bethesda has done a lot to sort of popularize the role-playing game genre. like I talk to a lot of people. I'm a big fan of their games going all the way back to like Oblivion and Morrowind, the third and fourth Elder Scrolls games. And Skyrim is just kind of an institution in and of itself. People know what Skyrim is and don't know that it's attached to any other games in any other series or anything like that. So I think they're just sort of trying to bring that popularity to a different setting and expand their catalog of IP, which is exciting as well.
Well, maybe like I'm a broken record. I say this kind of thing. I say I'm talking about this all the time, but maybe video games are like every other genre right now, where space and science fiction got popular again, so everybody is dabbling in that, and maybe you have Guardians to thank as much as anything.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that like science fiction is really in again.
Yeah, which is cool. Again, Starfield's been in development, rumored for so long. Like even I think it was before Guardians as well. So I don't know if they had taken any inspiration for any of that stuff. Maybe they will like afterwards.
Sure,
like,
maybe not that game specifically, but I'm just saying that like the popularity of science fiction coming back into video games the way it has been lately, I think has a lot to do with that happening in film and television.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Cyberpunk is really back in a big way right now.
Yeah, I mean, one of the marquee AAA games that Microsoft showed at their conference from the developers of The Witcher is called Cyberpunk. So
yeah, I saw that.
It's coming back in a big way.
Well, Dan, that should be on my list, but it wasn't because I didn't know as much as you did about it. My number 5 is Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is weird because I haven't played any of the new Tomb Raider games, but it looks amazing.
Tomb Raider looks really great. That was another one that got knocked off of my list. You should play the first two; they're really fun.
I will. Eric's got the first one. I'm going to live stream that in the not too distant future. Is my plan, and I don't know. I want to get into those because I'm one of the few people that just really loved that movie, and tonally it's really similar. And so I kind of want to live in that world in a video game now.
Yeah, I never went to see that movie. I was curious about it when it was coming out, but I just never went out to see it.
I liked it a lot. It was Lara Croft Begins. It takes its cues so much from the first Nolan Batman movie.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I was all about that. Anyway, but yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a lot of variety of gameplay. I don't really know what else to say about it. It's Tomb Raider, but it just looks like a really good Tomb Raider game. I'm curious as to what the thing about the two sides of the screen is. There's this weird thing in the trailer that they keep jumping to, where you have like kind of a mirror effect, where this is like the symmetry thing. And I have no idea what I'm looking at and what's going on there, but it's intriguing.
Yeah, it is intriguing. I'm hoping that handing the baton off to a different studio. I don't think it's Crystal Dynamic working on this because they're working on the Avengers game that Square Enix is supposedly working on somewhere in the ether that we didn't see any footage of, which I was surprised to not see. So,
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
But graphics look great. It looks really.
I'm sure it'll be good. This seems to be like one of the marquee franchises for Square Enix now. The reboot and the sequel have been critically acclaimed and decently successful in sales. Not as much as I think they would have liked, because they wanted to be kind of their own Uncharted, especially Microsoft. Like,
that's what I was going to say.
They made an exclusive deal with the second Tomb Raider game to make it a timed exclusive on Xbox One, because they wanted to fill that missing action adventure hole they had in their first party exclusive lineup. But yeah, I'm really excited about that game too. I agree, it looks great.
Well, it's got to be hard for them on PS4 because it is in direct competition with Uncharted.
Yeah, I've never played any of the Uncharted games, obviously.
I haven't either.
Owned a PlayStation game, but those games are an institution. They're like one of the top-selling games of all time.
I get requests to play that a lot, and I'm not paying for it right now, but sometimes I have a subscription to PS Now, and the old Uncharted games are there, and so it would be really easy to just jump on and stream that. I might do that at some point.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Dan, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
See, I couldn't put that on my list because we don't know anything about it.
So the things we know about it is that the setting takes place between episodes 3 and 4, which is the setting for everything they do now. But it's a single-player, story-driven Star Wars game where you get to play as a Jedi. I'm hoping that this is kind of their way of bringing back the Jedi Knight series, like Jedi Academy. And the Jedi Academy is my favorite Jedi Knight game, but I also like Jedi Outcast, and I haven't played any of the ones before that. But anyway, those games are great. I'm hoping that this is sort of a backdoor revival of that series. I just find it sort of weird because the lady who wrote and directed the Uncharted games, like the story director, she was working on a single-player, story-driven Uncharted-style Star Wars game, and EA canned it because they said people don't like single-player games anymore, which like doesn't make any sense because the Uncharted games sell millions and millions and millions of copies.
And so, Batman and everything.
Examples are there's too many to count. Like The Witcher, like there's too many examples of that perception being wrong. But anyway, I find it weird that all of a sudden now this is a single player Star Wars game when they said like a year ago that people don't like Star Wars games. Single player games. I don't know. It's weird. But I'm just happy that we're getting one. Respawn is a good studio. They worked on the Titanfall games, which are pretty competent shooters that I just didn't get into because I'm not a big like FPS multiplayer online Call of Duty rah man. But they have a good pedigree as a developer, and I'm excited to see them do something new. I have a feeling if they're taking it over, it might be the mix of third and first person thing that the Jedi Knight games do, where when you use the blasters, you go into first person mode, and when you use the lightsaber, you go into third person mode and you use force powers and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm just excited at the prospect of doing something besides an online game like Battlefront 2, first Battlefront. Just a little bit of variety in the types of Star Wars games we're getting from this EA deal, because when LucasArts was around, they did like everything. There was a Star Wars game in every genre that was of quality. So
every genre.
Yeah.
Practically. We never got a 2D fighter. I wish we'd had that. But
they did do a couple of those, but they were not good.
Yeah, there was a really crappy one early on.
Yeah, none of them were ever good, but they did try.
Yeah, but I mean, like they even had racing games that were decent.
Yeah, the Episode 1 racer is pretty good.
It's really good. I still have that on Dreamcast.
Do you? That's awesome.
Yeah. People in the comments complaining, of course, about that era that we can't get out of that era. In a perfect world, you know what I would want, Dan? But of course, we wouldn't do this because we don't have old EU anymore. But I want a game set in Legacy, man. Like that's what I want. I want a futuristic Star Wars game set in Legacy.
That would be cool.
Or I guess when I say futuristic, I mean the future of that. It's still a long time ago. It's just not quite as long ago.
Yeah, I just kind of wish they'd start fleshing out the new canon outside of this era. It seems like because Disney has so many projects that are up in the air, might get canceled at this point in time, they're kind of afraid to explore anything because they've already committed to everything being in canon. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I would have liked them to go back and do something with the Old Republic era too. I'd like to do something with the era between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, when Luke Skywalker is still not a cranky old man and like is Luke Skywalker. Like, I'd like to see that kind of a game, because they did a little bit of that in the campaign for Battlefront 2, but not much. There's a bunch of eras I'd like to see other than the era between 3 and 4 again. But if the game's good and the story's great, otherwise I can't really complain.
I might be remembering this wrong. I thought there was something recently announced in comics or books or something where we were finally going to go to
the Favreau
Republic era, or
I thought you were talking about,
or was it like all the way at Antiquity? I can't remember now.
They haven't announced anything about that I'm aware of. I know the Favreau TV show takes place between Jedi and Force Awakens, so they're going to explore that time period to some degree.
Okay, I thought I heard about something announced that was going to go like way back, but
not that I'm aware of.
I don't know if I'm right about that.
You might be right, but I'm just not aware of it. If it's a thing in the comments, I'm sure people will be able to be able to tell us.
Yeah, sure. Well, shall we move on?
Yes.
My number 4 is, and I should say, like, I hopefully will get excited about that game. I just don't think we know enough yet. And like a lot of these guys in the comments, I'm not real super stoked about that era. My number 4 is Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
It looks cool.
And it's so weird that that's on my list. I've never played an Assassin's Creed game. I've never cared about that. But they picked an era that is more my bag. And
Ancient Greece is awesome.
I love Ancient Greece stuff. What's interesting about it to me is it's not like God of War where it looks like Greek mythology. It looks like Greek history. I mean, they might have mythical stuff mixed in. I don't remember any. Yeah. I don't remember any gods and goddesses in the trailers in gameplay for that, but maybe I'm not remembering it right.
So I haven't played the Egyptian one yet, which they put out, the Assassin's Creed Origins, which was critically acclaimed and was supposedly really great. I was really excited to play it because I like the Assassin's Creed games. Post the first game, I thought the first game was awful, but after that they got a lot better and improved. In that game, as far as I'm aware, there is a lot of Egyptian mythology and gods and stuff coming in and out of the story of that game. So I would assume they're not going to pass up the opportunity to do stuff with Greek mythology. I mean,
well, that's cool.
Like
I have no problem with that. Yeah. But I do think it's cool. And I mean, like, you know, and they made a big deal out of all the different locations in that game, and that it's huge and there's a lot of different places to go. If we get to actually descend into Hades, I'll be really excited. You know, if you get to go to hell in that game and things like that. And calling it, and now that I'm thinking about it, like with that title, you called it Odyssey. How do you not do that? You can't have a thing called Odyssey and you don't go to hell. That'd be weird. But if you're actually doing the mythology stuff. But I like the focus. It seems to be on the actual culture of that period, and they have it set in a particular time, and they know what the war was like, and you know, they're dealing with the Spartans, and it's you know, just post Leonidas, and I don't know, it looks really fun. It looks really well detailed. I'm not. I saw other games where I was more impressed with character models, where some faces looked kind of silly to me, but yeah. Other than that, yeah, that's the thing I wouldn't think I would play. But you know, Dan, after Detroit and some of the Telltale things I've been doing, I've been really interested in these you know, choice-based games where you decide what a person says and thinks about something, and then that alters the course of the game. And obviously, RPG has been doing this forever, but I've never been an RPG guy, and when they add that element to Assassin's Creed on top of just, you know, regular RPG stuff, I'm a little bit more interested in it. I feel like I'm starting to get more acclimated to things like that, and maybe I won't be I won't feel so out of my element.
Well, if you get more used to that, obviously the recommendation I would make is to play through the Mass Effect trilogy, because that is so your thing.
Yeah. I need to do that. The other reason I put this game on my list is because I think my wife will play it with me. Cool. She was a big fan of Fable, and it reminded me a lot of Fable.
Fable's great. I want Microsoft to make a new one. Please do it, Microsoft. Reboot Fable.
I'm such a like modern gaming kind of noob or whatever. Am I wrong in saying that it looks like Fable? Sorta.
Just in that they added standard RPG mechanics to it, but that's in like most RPGs.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't think it's particularly like the stuff they added. I don't think it's particularly like Fable as compared to any other.
Okay, I haven't looked enough at that.
Yeah,
but I just watched my wife play it a little bit.
The combat, I could see maybe what you mean. Like because the Assassin's Creed combat is not as complex as some RPGs I've played, and Fable's combat is a little bit more simplified. At least in 2 and 3. The first game is a little bit more complexity, but it's still pretty simple for what it is.
Yeah. So anyway, I might actually end up playing an Assassin's Creed. That's crazy, but there it is.
That should be cool.
Not that that's the only one I would play. I just have never felt the need to put it on a list before.
Yeah, true.
I mean, remind me, Dan, of some of the other eras they did, because I know they did the Egyptian one, and I know there was one. What isn't the one set in Italy?
So they did the first one set during the Crusades. The second one is set in Florence. They did like a trilogy of the ones that focus on this guy from Italy that's a Florentine. The second one in his trilogy is set in Rome, and the third one is in Constantinople. The one after that was the American Revolution. The one after that, I believe, was Pirates or France, the French Revolution. I can't remember in what order they went in. And then they did Industrial Revolution era England. They did that was in London.
Oh, interesting.
And
okay.
and then the last one they did was Ancient Egypt.
I didn't know they ever got that close to modern.
Yes, the one set in England was pretty good too. I quite enjoyed it. Yeah,
because I know I've heard bad things about a couple of those, but
so like they were bad when they came out. Like the French Revolution one, everyone says is terrible. I played it like 3 years after it came out when they fixed everything. I thought it was great. I thought it was awesome.
Oh,
so yeah.
You guys, what Dan just did, that's how he tests his memory. You know, some people go through the presidents. Dan goes through eras of Assassin's Creed games.
And the weird thing is, like, I'm not like a super fan of Assassin's Creed or anything. Like, I play the games and I'm like, yeah, they're fun. And I mainly like them for the historical setting because I love history.
Yeah, sure.
But, like, the gameplay has never been like, oh my God, like, I'm drooling to play the next Assassin's Creed. Like, I'm really excited about this. But I've played most of them, weirdly enough.
Well, they finally put one out that not only is in an era that I've always been interested in, but also that I enjoy playing in video game form for whatever reason. Like the God of War games I kind of couldn't get enough of, partly just because of the aesthetic.
Yeah, I've never owned a PlayStation console, so I've never played God of War either. But
oh, okay.
I would like to at some point.
That's another thing I'm thinking about streaming. The new one.
The new one looks really cool.
People keep talking about it like the best thing that came out this year.
Yeah, it does look awesome.
It will probably get Game of the Year. I'll be real surprised if it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what other things would compete with it. I don't think there's really anything, right, that I can think of. But then again, I haven't played a ton of.
Well, I guess it's not third party, but like. I don't know, like, do the Nintendo games ever compete for Game of the Year? I don't think they do.
I mean, Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey won many Game of the Year awards, yeah.
Oh, did they? Okay, okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure. Yeah. I don't pay enough attention to that kind of thing. Okay, Dan, where are we at? Number 3?
Yes, sir.
What is yours, sir?
Speaking of Nintendo, my number 3 is the only game they talked about really at all in their E3 presentation that was of interest to me, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
And may I say, not only is it the only thing they talked about, I mean, like, very much, they talked too much about it.
I agree, yeah.
I don't like how much, like, I don't know about you, but you sent me a half-hour video. I watched, like, 10, 15 minutes and was like, oh no, I feel like I know everything about this game now. Like, I had to turn it off. I felt like I had put the game in the console and it was playing it for me. I didn't like that.
Oh, interesting. I don't have the same experience I do with video game trailers as I do with movie trailers because the experience you have with the game playing it yourself is so unique. But oh
no, absolutely. But you know, I didn't need to know. Like, it's cool to know that they're bringing back every character that's ever been in that franchise, but I didn't need to see like all the courses, and I don't know. I like to be surprised by some of that stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I see what you mean. That half-hour video, I was trying to send you shorter clips, but they didn't have any shorter ones. So I guess I just have to send them this massive.
I just skipped around, but
yeah, I don't blame you.
It was just too much. I was like, no, look, you're overselling yourselves. Take my money already. Like I'm already gonna buy this game. I don't know.
I'm excited about this game just because they're bringing back all the characters like that I would have liked. I'm glad that we're getting specifically young Link back. He was always my one of my favorite characters to play as in Super Smash Bros. Melee. He's just kind of a faster version of the regular Link, but he's got the Ocarina of Time aesthetic, and that's one of, if not my favorite Zelda games. So excited about that. I'm also excited about Ridley being a playable character in the game. People have been asking that for years, and they've never really been able to make it work, they said, because he's such a large character. But they put him in the game this time, and he looks cool and fun to play. So that's really exciting to get another Metroid character besides Samus in there.
Yeah.
I'm glad that all the third-party characters they were able to return, like Solid Snake and all that. That's really cool. The only thing about it that I have to say negative is like it doesn't look all that much different from the 3DS and Wii U versions that we got not too long ago. That's like the one thing that kind of makes me go like usually for a Smash Brothers game when they put out the trailer for Super Smash Bros. Melee and Brawl and the Wii U and 3DS versions, I was really excited because we hadn't gotten one of them in years, and the graphics looked pretty and new, and like there was all these new characters, all these new courses. This seems to be more like a compilation of everything they've done before and a few new things added in.
Yeah, it almost could have been. I mean, obviously you couldn't do it this way, but if Smash Brothers was already on the Switch as opposed to being on the Wii U, it almost could have just been like an update or something.
I do appreciate that they tried to add a bunch of new stuff to make it feel like it was worth. It would be worth people who have a Switch buying it if they already have the
much more so than Mario Kart.
Yeah, exactly. I do appreciate that about it. They did try to at least make it somewhat of a new game.
No, it's not going to feel like I'm spending money on the same game again, like I had a little bit with Mario Kart. You remember I complained about that when they did that.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not that. This is not like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, where they add like one extra element and then bank on people not even, and then they just bank on people not even realizing that game had come out before, because they don't even act like that game was on a previous system. It's just like, it's the new Donkey Kong. I'm like, no, it's not. I played that game 2 years ago, 3 years ago. What do you? No, that's not cool. So that I'm not rebuying. I don't feel the need to spend $50 on that. But
I didn't rebuy it. I got my butt handed to me enough times in that game.
It's really hard, right?
It's really hard and really great, and I got through it, but like I got some battle scars from it, and I'm not ready to go back. So
I'll tell you, man, the bosses in that game are not okay.
No. No, they're not.
I was doing gameplay for that. I never finished it. Maybe someday I will, but that would be like a 20-hour gameplay just because of places I would get stuck forever.
It would be really long for me too, just because I'm not awful at platformers, but I'm not that good at them.
Well, and like I'm a veteran Donkey Kong player, man. Yeah. I'm quite good at the original, but that's just what Returns did was Returns said like you've already got to be a pretty decent Donkey Kong player to be great at this, right? It feels almost like it starts from the difficulty of the end of like the first or second game, and then you get to the end of Returns, and of course it gets harder as it goes, and then Tropical Freeze is the end of that, is the beginning of that game.
Yeah, it's insane. So
but I digress.
With Nintendo's conference, I mean, that's the only real thing to talk about is Smash Bros. I was really surprised they didn't show anything at all about Metroid Prime 4, which I'm really excited about, but seems like it's really far off at this point. Whatever they're going to do with the next Zelda game, which is supposedly already in development. We saw the Pokemon game before E3. I think people would have been more excited if they showed the Pokemon game with the Smash Bros. Stuff. People wouldn't have felt like it was such a sparse showing from them this year.
And it was only like, what, a couple weeks or a month before? Why didn't they just wait on it?
It wasn't even a couple weeks. It was like days.
Really?
Yeah.
In fact, now that you say that, I remember thinking, E3 started? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then it hadn't.
Yeah, it's really strange the way they did that. But the Pokemon Company is kind of an autonomous company. Nintendo is the major shareholder in that company, but they kind of operate autonomously. And there's a lot of kind of like the guy that's currently the president of Nintendo used to be the head of the Pokemon Company. So like there's a lot of interaction between them. They're not technically the same company, and they make some of their own decisions. So maybe that's what it led to. I don't know. I don't know what their deal is, but
that's why it was really funny when Pokemon Go came out and shares in Nintendo skyrocketed, but they didn't make that game.
Yeah.
And they came out, they did the right thing. Nintendo came out and they said, no, everybody, we didn't make this game. So just so you know, you probably shouldn't put a lot of stock in stocks for us. And then they still were a lot higher than they were even after that announcement.
Hey, it's a happy accident, I guess, for them. Right?
It was. It was really funny. Dan, my number 3 is going to be Starlink Battle for Atlas.
Oh, cool. That the Ubisoft, is it Ubisoft Toys to Life game?
I think so.
With
the
Star Fox.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. It's not really a Toys to Life game. Toys to Life is a added on component that you can take or leave.
Really?
They have it set up so that you don't actually have to buy toys for it, which I suspect they're doing because that whole genre has kind of fallen apart. It's weird that they even conceptualized it that way in the first place.
Yeah.
And they were making it just as Toys to Life was falling apart, and they knew that, and they kind of came on record and said, no, we think we can maybe help revive it, and it's not necessarily going to be dead, and we're going to try. But I think that's why they're kind of halfway doing the Toys to Life component so that if that doesn't work out, the game's not dead.
Yeah.
I don't know the specifics, but it's set up so that you don't actually have to buy the toys to get all the things that the toys help you do in the game.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's good. I don't know what exactly that means before it comes out and I can get my hands on it and look at it. But no, what I like about it, I conceptually is it's a open world space shooter, and it's because at first I thought it was just like a Star Fox game until I read more into it, and the idea is it's this like big war that's happening throughout a galaxy, and you can go anywhere you want to, and you can make alliances with different groups, and that changes the course of the story, like whoever you team up with. And you can fight in space, or you can fight on land, on planets, and it's kind of like No Man's Sky in the sense that you can find random planets and go down to them and have battles on the planets. And I've never seen an open world space shooter. That sounds really fun to me. So that's why I put it on my
Star Fox game Nintendo should be making.
Yeah, no, it really is. And it's cool because Nintendo is adding Star Fox to it, so it will probably feel like a Star Fox game if you buy it on the Switch. I don't know if that's going to be enough to get me to buy it there as opposed to PS4. I kind of want to find out more about how connected it's going to be. Like, I don't know how important online is going to be for that game. And so I don't know. It just kind of depends. That's going to probably help me decide which one I buy.
Sure, yeah.
Star Fox is enticing, but I don't necessarily have to have Star Fox since it's not a Star Fox game. So
right, I don't know. It's just like a cool little addition if you happen to have it for the Switch, for sure.
But what I'm not impressed with is the way they're advertising it, because I had to go do extra research to find out what kind of game it was.
Yeah, I had no idea. I just watched Ubisoft conference and I was like, this game with Star Fox in it with spaceships and you got to buy toys. I'm not going to buy that.
Yeah.
So, I'm much more interested. I should say a little. I'm much more interested in it now.
No, it sounds like a thing you would play.
Yeah. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, because it's not linear combat. It's not, you play 8 levels and you're done, and it doesn't seem like it's primarily a Toys to Life game. It seems like that's just another component to it if you wanted to add that. Yeah.
I'm going to look more into it after this. That's awesome.
But it's like I wouldn't know, they wouldn't even be on my list if I hadn't gone and done more research, and that's going to hurt them if they don't make that clear in their advertising.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm gonna be very interested to see how that game does, and that pirate combat game that Ubisoft is putting out as well.
Boy, I just could not care less about that.
Me either.
Didn't we have an announcement trailer for that at last E3?
Yes,
or was that a different pirate game?
Skull and Bones and Sea of Thieves is the one that Rare made with Microsoft.
Okay, that's right.
So there's 2 of them.
Yeah. Okay.
And Sea of Thieves is already out. But
let's find out what Dan's number 2 is.
Yes. So my number 2 is probably not on anyone else in the entire planet's list, and some people might think it's lame, but my number 2 is the season 3 they announced for Star Wars Battlefront 2. I
didn't know if that could make the list because it's not a new game.
I don't know.
See, that's how lame E3 was for Dan. One of his picks isn't even a full game.
This is actually the thing that, like, other than my number 1, when I saw it, I was actually, like, legitimately really excited about, like, when I was sitting there watching it. Like, I'm excited about, like, the potential of a new Halo game, but they just showed a trailer of landscape shots and Master Chief holding his helmet. I'm like, I don't know anything about this game.
That was so weird. Told you nothing. It's like, yeah, that's Halo, sure.
Yeah, landscape shots. I don't know. Like, it's weird.
I
anyway,
feel like we know more about the Halo TV show that was just announced than we do.
Yeah,
we do about that game.
I hope that show ends up being good. But anyway, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is my game of choice. I play it almost every day. In terms of like multiplayer games. I got the game when it came out. My girlfriend bought it for me for Christmas because it released around the time The Last Jedi came out. I didn't play it very much because I heard a lot of bad things about how it was exploitative, tried to rob people of their money. I don't know the ins and outs. I knew a little bit about how that went down, about the loot boxes and stuff, and I was not comfortable supporting it, spending any money on that game. So I never really played it. I waited till they changed the progression and got rid of all the exploitative stuff in it. They fixed a lot of stuff. And I think it's legitimately a really great game. It's really unfortunate that EA bungled it from a business standpoint because the underlying gameplay is really great. The map design is terrific. All of the DLC they've done has been awesome. Specifically, the solo content that they just put out. They put out a really cool map based on Kessel. It's got a bunch of rooms in it that look like just some scenes in the movie. It's really movie accurate. It's cool, and they have a bunch of skins so you can play as the Alden Ehrenreich version of Han Solo and the Donald Glover version of Lando Calrissian. And the goggles version of Chewbacca from that movie. So that's really cool. But the season 3 is all Clone Wars based. So they're going to be adding 4 heroes to the game. They're going to be adding Grievous, Dooku, Obi-Wan, and Anakin Skywalker, which is really cool. And they're going to do a Geonosis map, and they said it's like the biggest map they've ever made for Battlefront so far. I think they're going to add in like another game mode. But I'm really excited about this because my favorite game mode in the game is Heroes versus Villains, and of course, adding 4 new characters for people to play as is going to change up the gameplay a lot.
That was my favorite mode too. Yeah.
With
the first game anyway.
Yeah, it's so fun, and I'm just really excited to see specifically Obi-Wan in the game, because I don't know why Obi-Wan it wasn't even in the first one. Like, why didn't they have old Ben Kenobi in the first one if we're doing original trilogy stuff? I don't know. I'm hoping that they have a variety of cool skins for all these characters. I hope we do like their looks from the prequel films. I hope Obi-Wan gets an old Ben Kenobi skin. I hope they have the Clone Wars looks for Obi-Wan and Anakin. And it's exciting because EA is not abandoning the support of this game, despite the fact that the player base is way down from what they expected it would be. They're actually fulfilling their promise of giving people the free seasons of content that they promised when the game launched. I expected them to just full stop abandon the game after the solo season. It looked like that might happen. A lot of people on the internet were saying that. So I'm just excited that they're continuing to support the game. I'm very doubtful that we're going to get any new updates after Season 3, to be honest with you. But the fact that they're adding 4 new heroes and villains characters is it's just awesome. I'm really excited about that. It's going to be cool. Hello? You're muted. I can't hear you.
Still?
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. I'm hearing. I'm seeing people in the comments even still talking about that company like they're still robbing people of money with that game. I don't know that people have gotten the memo that stuff is free.
Yeah, the DLC is free. The only thing they make you really pay for now is skins, if you want to buy them rather than with the in-game currency you earn from games. Some of the legendary skins, like the Bausch Bounty Hunter Leia skin, the new solo skins, they're a little on the expensive side for in-game currency, and they're $20 a piece to pay for.
Oh,
so
weird.
That's kind of stupid. But they're just cosmetic upgrades. They don't change any of the gameplay stuff like the loot boxes used to before. It wasn't the kind of thing where you could just buy a bunch of loot boxes and then get really great star cards and own everyone else because your character was way more upgraded than everyone else. It's not like that anymore. So
yeah,
they fixed all of that stuff. The way I look at it is, if you don't want to use any of the skins, don't buy them, and you'll have just as good of a time with the game as someone who did. You know, that's where the state of the game is at right now with that stuff. So I really enjoy it. I play it almost every night when I get home from work because I don't have the kind of time to invest in long form kind of games right now because I'm in school, working, all that kind of stuff. So when I get home from work during the week, I'll just sit down and play that game for like 2-3 hours, and I always have a great time. It's always a lot of fun. So
I think it's easy to look at what they're doing right now and say, well, how in the world are they making any money with that? Why are they doing that? And I'm assuming it's to engender consumer confidence again, so that when they put out the next one or whatever the next thing is they put out, they don't have that reputation anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars in general has such a consumer confidence problem right now. Yeah. I would imagine that even if EA isn't making any money on this, someone with a higher pay grade than the people in charge of making that game are saying to them, like, we gotta do good by the people who actually supported us and purchased the game and have been playing it. You know,
it's insurance, I think. Yeah. And I don't know if they think that anybody is noticing it and is going to buy it after the fact, but it feels like kind of a damage control thing, like again No Man's Sky was with all of its updates.
Yeah,
which by the way, I'm really excited about their next update. I'm going to start playing that game again in August.
Oh, cool! That's awesome. And I'm sure you feel the same way because you were mentioning.
When I say the next one, it's called Next. It's the next update.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and I'm sure you feel kind of the same way as I do, since you're excited about the No Man's Sky update. Like, obviously, like, ideally the games wouldn't have launched in the state they did, but like, if we have to have damage control, this is the kind I would like to have, where they give
No,
me
I'm glad they're
stuff to play,
fixing it
you
as
know?
opposed to just abandoning it.
Yeah,
And I feel like
exactly.
my money was totally wasted. The only thing I wish is that I had known that in the first place and waited to buy the game until it was cheap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You buy the game when it comes out at $60, and then it's buggy and it doesn't have all the features that you thought it would, or that seem to be advertised, like with No Man's Sky. And then it's not what exactly was promised. And then a couple years later, it's getting there, or it's a lot closer, but also I can go get that game for like $25 now.
Yeah, and Battlefront's the same way. Wherever I go, it's like half price
Really
discounted. So
yeah,
that's unfortunate.
My number two, and my number one and two are real arbitrary. Like they probably go in the same boat. I don't have a thing like I did when we did this with Super Mario Maker, where I had one where I was just like over the moon and freaking out about. I don't have one of those this time. But my we're on number two, right?
Yes.
My number two is Fallout 76.
Nice.
Which I'm assuming is your number one.
Yes.
But we can talk about that with yours. Well, since that's the next thing you're going to talk, I guess we should just talk about Fallout now.
Yeah, let's do it. Fallout 76 looks really interesting.
And again, a franchise I've never played a game from, but I gotta know. It looks really good, and that's why I sent you that message the other day, Dan, and asked you if I should play Fallout 4 at all, because I gotta play this game. It looks really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Fallout 4 is basically a single-player version of what this game appears to be. So if you're interested in what this game looks like, then I would recommend playing Fallout 4. You're usually not a big open world kind of person, so that's why I told you. Like,
if anybody noticed that, I'll send you something in the mail. Just kidding.
I was sort of warning you, like, if you don't like getting lost, that's kind of like what those games are about. It's kind of like getting lost and exploring in the world and all that stuff.
No, I love the exploration thing. I mean, like, I have this to a much lesser degree because the worlds aren't that big, but I mean, like, that's what I like about Lego Dimensions. I just run around and find things to do. And if that's what that game is, I can enjoy that. I don't like getting lost in a linear game where I can't do anything if I can't get out of this room. But if that game's more you get lost and there's stuff to do, that's enjoyable.
That's the whole point of the game.
I'm all about that.
So
that sounds fun.
I think you would like it.
Okay, I'll get that.
Fallout 76 is Bethesda's second foray into online multiplayer RPGs. Elder Scrolls Online had a similar kind of situation to most online MMOs, where they launch in a completely broken and janky state, and the player base either sticks with the game like they did with World of Warcraft and some of the other big MMOs, or they completely abandon it. Elder Scrolls was one of the games that people abandoned on PC, and then it kind of got a second life when they released it on consoles after they fixed it. And I quite liked the fixed version of Elder Scrolls Online. I thought it was pretty decent. I played it for a little while anyway. I never got to like max level and did endgame stuff, but I played through most of the main quest line for the base game. I haven't played any of the expansions yet, although I do have the Morrowind one they put out, because I'm excited about returning there in a pretty graphical fashion. But anyway, Fallout 76 looks like it's going to be focused on the survival aspect that they introduced in Fallout 4 with the base building, where you're building settlements to kind of resettle the world. It's a prequel to most of the other Fallout games, so it's sort of removed timeline-wise from the other stuff. It's set in the hills of West Virginia, which is a really interesting setting. Not one that I would have expected them to go for immediately, because they've done like Washington, D.C., they've done Las Vegas, they did Boston, and the West Virginia is sort of like a less urban environment, which I think might suit the gameplay well if it's a bunch of players running around and trying to make settlements in this hilly part of the country. I just love the Fallout classic Americana aesthetic combined with the post-nuclear Fallout. So I just love that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, that's the thing that intrigues me about it.
It's so cool. So I'm cautiously optimistic, because this game looks like it could go either way, in that it's less of an RPG and more of a survival base building game. They kind of pitched it as a survival base building game, but they also said you can play it as a single player Fallout game if you don't want to play with other people, which to me is intriguing because I prefer the more single player.
Yeah, thing. And I'm taking them at their word on that because I don't care about the multiplayer. I'm more interested in the aesthetic and just the basic premise of it. I thought it was just a really provocative image. The first person POV, like coming out of the bunker and like after the nuclear fallout, and you see what the world is like. It's sort of like, you're gonna laugh at me when I say this. I saw, and I'm sure this movie is gonna be horrible, but I saw a trailer for the first Purge. And the Purge movies never looked like something I would want to watch. But then I saw that and I was half intrigued by it. And I asked myself why. And I was like, there are some, with superhero things, I complain a lot about when origin is just used as a crutch. But there are some ideas that make sense, not just to start with origin, but where that's the interesting story to tell. The politics behind getting us to a purge is so much more interesting to me than looking at a story where that's the status quo. And I kind of have that with Fallout. Like I'm kind of more interested to see the beginning of that for whatever reason. I can't really explain why, but it just seems like that's the intriguing premise to me.
Yeah, it seems really cool. I just hope the multiplayer-ish stuff of it isn't so intrusive that I feel like I can't play the game like a Fallout role-playing game. Because like it's an always online game where other players are going to be running around doing their own thing that you'll encounter as you go throughout the world. It's not like you really have a choice to have other people running around in the world of the game. It's just, I hope that I don't have to rely on other people to like play because the reason I go to play a Fallout game is for the story and the exploration and stuff like that. And that can be fun with other people. It's just hard to make that work in a multiplayer setting. I've never seen anyone do it as well as a single player game has done it. So, but if anyone's going to do it, I would have faith that Bethesda Game Studios might be the studio to pull it off. I mean, this is the marquee studio from that company. This isn't ZeniMax Online like they farmed it out to with the Elder Scrolls Online. So that makes me a lot more confident in the project right out of the gate. But yeah, I'm just excited that they're doing something ambitious with Fallout, trying something new. I can't fault them with that. This isn't like a safe move for them, I don't think.
Kyleton says I'm in luck because that's going to chronologically be the first installment in the Fallout timeline, which is kind of what I like about it. I mean, and the thing is, again, I complain about prequelitis all the time, but some things, when they're done right, actually are an okay way to jump into a thing if you've never seen it before and start at the beginning.
Yeah,
I like to see that done well because I'm always talking about how you can do that well. It just is very rarely done.
Yeah, and honestly, like the Fallout games, the stories of themselves stand alone so much so that you don't really need to play any of them to kind of get them. Like you can.
That's good to know because I was always curious about New Vegas too.
New Vegas is really cool, and three is the first one that Bethesda made that's set in Washington D.C. It's really fantastic. New Vegas is made by Obsidian, the people who made Knights of the Old Republic 2 and some other RPGs, and it's that same engine just in Las Vegas. And the story of that I think is even better than the third one actually. And then 4 I loved. It's set in Boston and other parts of Massachusetts,
where Dan's from.
Yeah, so I was just over the moon about that kind of stuff, and I loved the story of the game. Everything about it I thought was great. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. It looks so cool. It's great.
Well, the other thing on my list was Smash Brothers, which again is like vying for the top spot. Honestly, this list was somewhat arbitrary in the first place. That's just kind of an obligatory. I mean, I'm going to get that and play with my kids. And,
yeah.
like I said, I mean, we had complaints. Like you said, I agree with you that it doesn't look maybe enough like a new game, but I'm excited about all the stuff that they're bringing back, and it looks like the definitive Smash Brothers game.
Yeah, it looks. It's going to be interesting to see, like, it kind of looks like their final definitive word on Smash Brothers. Like, if they'll
keep making more,
they'll keep making more, but I feel like they're going to leave it dormant for a while after this.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Or do you think they'll just keep adding to it? Just to take that model and that engine and just keep throwing more characters at it?
Yeah, I could see them doing, like, a lot of DLC for it, for sure. Like, over the course of the Switch's life cycle.
or even just the next version of it they pretend like is a new game, but it's pretty much just this game with like 40 more characters. I'm just saying I can kind of see that. You know what I hope they bring back? And I didn't watch that entire half-hour video, but so maybe they already mentioned it. But I wish they'd bring back the platforming mode that we had in Melee.
Oh, like board the platforms and the target stuff. Yeah, that'd be cool.
And I don't know if it's the same mode, but the thing where you basically like go through what looks like sort of a Mario level, and break things and stuff. And I think that actually goes back to 64.
Yes. Yeah, they had those.
They haven't done that since Melee, I don't think. I don't think maybe the Wii version had it, but Wii U didn't, and that was unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish they had that in the Wii U version. And I didn't play the 3DS one. So
for gutting stuff from those games that were otherwise the best versions in some ways that we had ever had, because they did the same thing with a Mario Kart. It was like one of the best Mario Karts ever, and they finally got the music right, but they didn't have battle mode for the battle mode we like for some reason, and then they went overkill with the Switch on battle mode.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they add a bunch of that classic stuff back in. I mean, if you have the title Ultimate, I feel like there's no way you can pass that kind of opportunity up. You know,
it would surprise me if they did. Yeah. Dan, did you have any runners up?
Let me look at the list here. Obviously, like Halo Infinite, I thought looked somewhat interesting just because I'm a Halo fan. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the stuff that I had sent you to see if there's anything else.
Yeah, sure.
One of the other things I thought was weird, which I think would be interesting to talk about. So me and Captain Logan both collect Funko Pops, those pop figures.
We sure do. Look, here's one. It's President Lex with his gun.
I don't have any of mine within reach, or otherwise I'd show and tell too. I recently got the brown suit Wolverine one from the 80s Claremont era.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, they announced a Funko Pop Gears of War mobile game, which is the weirdest thing in the whole world. But yeah, I think if Funko kind of expands and makes more games, that could be a really cool thing, and they could be the main competitor to Lego in the kids game scene.
I've been saying this forever, and I've been wondering like where the Funko Pop like comics are. There's been a couple of little ones, but they've never done a monthly or even a mini series like
and they did some like variant covers for the
and they do a bunch of variant covers.
Turtles based series. When that 2012 show was on, there were a bunch of Funko variant covers for that stuff.
Yeah, well, and they did a bunch of Funko covers recently for IDW stuff.
Oh, did they? That's cool.
Yeah, and they were really good. There was a Back to the Future one, and there was I can't remember if there was a Ninja Turtles one, but there were some different ones. But the thing I keep throwing, I feel like I pitched this on one of these E3 things, Dan. I don't know, but the big thing I want to see is if you could get like Lego Dimensions, if it was okay for all the licenses to come together, do just like a giant brawler. And have cool. like a 2D fighter with a roster of like 500 characters, and it would be okay if there were only like a few different character models where a lot of the characters did the same things, just to have a bunch of different skins. Because after all, a lot of Funko Pops are just repaints anyway.
Yeah,
exactly. Why not just have a million skins of the same thing, and that would allow you the space in your game to have like 500 characters. That's what I want from Funko.
I mean, if Funko hooked up with a decent developer and Disney alone, they'd be able to make a game like that with all of Star Wars, Marvel, and Disney's characters. I mean, that seems like it would sell itself, you know?
Yeah.
Like, well, you team up with one company and you've got like a roster.
But it also would have a bunch of obscure things that even Lego wouldn't think to go to, because Funko
they're fans.
They not only that, but they've bought so many licenses. They put Funko Pops out for stuff that you never thought you'd see an action figure for, and it would just be really cool and it would be cool if like characters that were real people could be in the game, because there's like a Weird Al pop, and there's and there's a bunch of pops for rock stars, and like Mr. Rogers has a pop, and it'd just be really cool if some of those things could be in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I would be interested to know how much more difficult it is to secure.
No, that's probably a lot harder.
Rights versus versus toy merchandising rights, because like the reason, I'm sure you know this, the reason why the Marvel and Star Wars pops are all bobbleheads is because Hasbro has the exclusive rights to make vinyl figures out of those properties from Disney.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's the reason why they're all bobbleheads.
They obviously wouldn't have unlimited resource. They wouldn't be able to use everything they have. But
like
I said, like they could get
team up with one company. Like even if they teamed up with Microsoft, like they're doing this Gears of War thing, they could have like all of the Microsoft properties like Halo, Gears of War, Fable. Like I don't know, like I feel like that could be really cool.
Yeah, make it just a video game thing.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be awesome.
Or do I'm talking about a fighting game. I do just pop versions of fighters, of like actual fighting game characters.
That would be pretty cool too. Like just Street Fighter in pop form.
I don't know if you could get away with that outside of a mobile game, but like I don't know if you could make a game that would have any depth to it. And I speak from experience when I say that fighting games, because this is what I like to see, but the more I'm thinking about it, I don't really know how you make it work, because I speak from experience when I say that a fighting game with all characters with small bodies and big heads doesn't work real well, because they never have, because I've played some of these and they never have any range in punching and kicking.
Sonic the Fighters.
Sonic the Fighters was like this, and of course that was made by AM2, which was the same studio that did Virtua Fighter, and they had Virtua Fighter Kids, and it played the exact same way too, and they look like this, right? Where it's a big head with a little body.
Yeah,
and it's cute. But the play value is about 10 minutes. Like,
yeah,
there's no replay value. You're not going to go back to that.
I'm really surprised that they haven't done also like with the fighter thing, like a pop like kart racer. I feel like that's a no-brainer.
That's a no-brainer. Yeah, sure. That maybe makes more sense than what I'm talking about.
No, I think a fighting game would be cool too. I think even like a platforming game. Like, there's so many different things you could do just based around like cute versions of those characters,
and crossovers are so in right now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it would need to be a crossover of some kind. Even
Absolutely.
if it was all stuff owned by one company, it would still have to be a crossover, I think.
Well,
and that's why the Gears of War thing is weird to me, because I'm like, I don't know how much people are going to think that's cool just because it's sort of cutesy. Like I would pick like 5 or 6 things you could mix.
Yeah, Gears of War is probably the last property I would have picked to make a pop game out of, because it's like super ultra violent.
That's probably why they thought it was funny.
And not as popular as it used to be.
You know what was weird about it too? I looked at that trailer and I was like, if pop games catch on and they start making a lot of them, I predict it will have the exact same evolution that Lego has, where it starts with just a bunch of grunting and eventually they just speak in complete sentences, right? It's really weird that they weren't talking. I was like, no, Lego tried this and they quit doing it that way.
Funko already does, because I only know this because I like their Facebook page. Whenever they do like a new release of like one of those specialty boxes they have, where it's kind of like a loot crate, but they send you like exclusive pops in it. They do like animated CG shorts of that stuff, and they're pretty fun. They don't talk. They just grunt like the Lego characters.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing.
Right about that.
I understand that to some degree, because they don't have mouths except for the ones that do. And wouldn't it be really amusing if the ones without mouths couldn't talk, but then Thanos shows up and he's like, "Hi there."
Yeah, and speaking to your point about the crossover earlier, like, it would need to be a crossover, because for me, and I think for a lot of people, I don't think I'm out of line when I say that I'm speaking for a lot of other people with pops. The appeal of them is the fact that it's so many different properties and they look uniform, and you can put them together and they look good on a shelf together. And the crossover aspect is kind of why people like them. Like, I like them because I
only buy one kind for the most part.
Yeah, like I like the complete sets and stuff. Like the ones that I have the most of are Star Wars. And then I have like a bunch of Marvel ones, and I'm actually pretty close to completing the TMNT set. I ordered the Turtle family yesterday. And
I got to be careful because this stuff gets expensive. I have so many Batmans. Yeah. I have to be really careful about it. But I have a few others.
Yeah, they put out an exclusive one that's Baxter Stockman as a Fly, which I'm really excited about. That one looks cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I've said this before. I'm not gonna buy all the Smallville ones because I didn't love the picks.
Mm.
Like, did we have to have a Lois Lane? Like, I just don't care.
Yeah, I feel like
you're only gonna make 5. Like,
yeah, I feel like they made that as an obligatory. Like, it's a Superman line, so we gotta have a Lois Lane. You know?
Yeah, that's stupid. It should have been Lana. As much as I don't like Lana, like, that was the love interest for most of that show. I don't know. For my money, give me season 1 Smallville figures, and then if they go well, do some other ones later on. But like that show was at its most popular when it was at the beginning, and it was the original premise of that show. But they felt the need to go across the board, so they had a Green Arrow, which is fine because I like their Green Arrow. But like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've complained about this too much on camera. No one else cares, but.
No, I mean, I find pop collecting interesting because my girlfriend actually got me into it. She was a big pop collector even before me, and I got into them through her because I tried to avoid having so many of them before, and now it's just crazy. Not that I regret buying them or anything. It's just I have a lot of them. But anyway, I'm just hoping that this game is successful so we can get Funko games that are not mobile games and of different properties. Like, the thing that interests me about this is the company that they're partnering in a licensing sense. I'm not going to play this game, mind you. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not either.
But I think the concept is interesting. So,
yeah. So any other runner up? If you know what, if you notice any more, throw them out.
Let me see. The only other one I had written down was the Tomb Raider one, which we talked about.
Yep.
The new BioWare game Anthem didn't look impressive to me, and it's been going through development heck behind the scenes supposedly. So I'm not as excited about that as I once was. Super Mario Party looks potentially interesting, but the Mario Party games are not something that I'm going to be like rah really excited about.
That's why it didn't make my list. Yeah.
I'm just glad that
we actually have to get it when it comes out, because one of the only video games that Eric will play and gets excited about is Mario Party.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, the one thing you can always make him do, no matter what mood he's in, is play Mario Party.
I'm excited that they're going back to sort of a little bit more of a traditional Mario Party thing, in the sense that, like, I didn't really care for the Wii U one because it was like all of the players in like a cart that moves around the board.
I didn't like it either.
Weird.
I didn't care for that either. Yeah. I think I played that maybe one time. I looked at it once. Yeah, and you know what's weird? The best Mario Party they put out during on the Wii, it was the DS one. The DS Mario Party is amazing.
Oh, I never played that. That's funny.
Most people didn't. It was great. My wife and I liked it so much. We linked 2 DSs together so we could play multiplayer.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
I don't know. The mini games with the stylus were way more fun and way less gimmicky than the ones with the motion control.
I remember the ones like 2 on the 64 where you would like make your palm bleed from rotating the control stick on the N64 controller so much.
But you know, it does look like they're kind of going back to basics with it.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And there does look like there's going to be some innovation stuff too. It's not just all like back to like tradition in that sense. It looks like they're going to use the tablet to like connect with other switches for mini games, stuff like that. So that looks potentially kind of cool.
Yeah, I just don't know other people that have that system. So
yeah, same. I'm the only one I know that.
If anybody wants to play Switch, they have to mooch off of mine because nobody else bought it.
Yeah. Even though it's selling really well
around me. No, it's selling really well, but I just don't know very many people who have one.
I'm the same way. It's really weird. I don't understand.
But to be fair, I guess a lot of my friends aren't big video game people in the first place. Because I was about to say that I don't know a lot of people with PS4s, but I know more people with PS4s than with Xboxes, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. PS4
it's dominating.
It's dominating. I mean, Microsoft is selling a respectable amount of Xboxes in the sense that, like, if the PS4 wasn't such a meteoric success, it would be like good numbers, but they're just way behind in sales compared to what Sony's doing. They're just so much more successful than everyone else right now.
I'm sure it's a fine system. I'm sure it's fun. There's a lot of they have exclusives that I wish I could play. But I think personally, with the stuff I play, I would probably be more disappointed if I had bought that and didn't get a PS4, just because more exclusives come out for that than I'm like really jazzed about. So I got lucky that I picked the right one, or that I picked the right one for me is all I'm saying. I mean, I'm not like a PlayStation fanboy or anything, but I have been very happy with that system.
No, and you deserve to, and I think the system deserves your enjoyment of it, and I think you're right to say that you bought the right system. I mean, I'm a big Xbox fan. I've had Xbox system since the original one. And I've been really disappointed with all the exclusives they've put out this generation. I honestly can't name an exclusive that I could tell you to buy the system for, to be honest.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. And I could name 4 or 5 on PS4.
Yeah, like for me, it was always like Halo is the reason to buy an Xbox, and Halo 5 is just not up to snuff.
Well, it's crazy because it's already selling so much better than the other two systems, and then I'm hearing people, and I mean, take this with a grain of salt because it's our community, but like I'm hearing people on Geevolution saying they're gonna buy the PS4 just for Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man could be a minor system seller.
My girlfriend wants to buy a PS4 to play that game and Last of Us 2. So I mean, it might work on her depending on how much money she has when.
Yeah, and it's nice that you found you found a girl that'll play video games with you. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, she's great.
I don't have that as much. My wife and I do plenty of things together, but our video game tastes are a little bit less in step. But I mean, there are a lot of things that we play together. But she's not as interested in these more modern 3D things. But then that's not immediately my bag either. I'm like getting more into that. So
sure, yeah. My girlfriend's into. She's not as into those kind of games as I am. Like her favorite games are like The Sims and stuff like that. That's like what she plays most of the time.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention that was running?
Yeah, I'll mention a couple of things. So I didn't put a platformer on my list, but Hollow Knight got close. It looks really fun. It looks like kind of Shovel Knight again. I'm kind of wondering what it's gonna do that's gonna be different enough from Shovel Knight. But it's got a really cool aesthetic, and I kind of like the black magic occult thing, and it's very anime-esque. So I mean, we'll see what that's like. But
I'm kind of excited about the other one. I don't know if you watched the trailer that I sent you for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which
that looks really good too.
That's an Xbox exclusive. The first game was critically acclaimed, as it was also an exclusive to Xbox. I can't say that the Xbox has no good exclusives. It's just like that game is such a small game. I wouldn't recommend buying a $300 system just to play that. But those games are really great platformers. Really great stuff. And of course, like they have Cuphead, which is another really cool game.
Yeah, which I still haven't gotten a chance to play, and I know it's on Steam, and I just have a hard time getting excited about playing on Steam because I don't like to sit in front of my computer and play.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And like I know I could get a Steam box, but I don't play enough stuff to get that and put it on my TV. So
yeah,
or I'm right? Isn't there a thing?
Yeah, that's what it is. You're right. Steam box is the console PC thing.
I just called it that to like describe it. Is that what it's actually called?
No, that's actually what it's called.
Oh, cool. That's amazing. And nailed it. I should have been confident. Just ran with that. Jeffrey asked if we mentioned the Fallout 76 thing. Yes, Jeffrey, we did. He had to pop out for a little bit, but that was Dan's number 1 and my number 2.
Yeah. Should we? Was there another one you wanted to mention? Because I was going to say we should probably take a few comments before we sign off here.
No, absolutely. Yeah, because we haven't been responding to comments as much as normal. Quiet Man looks potentially interesting. It's another thing that we didn't get a whole lot for, but it looks like, and it might be a little bit too violent for my taste, although the more I'm playing more, modern 3D action games and thrillers, Dan, the more I'm getting kind of desensitized, I think. Detroit was not rough. It wasn't Last of Us or anything, but anyway, but that looks like kind of a revenge thriller kind of game where you're a deaf guy that's going around attacking people, and it looked really really unusual and fresh, and it looked like kind of. It's not the exact same kind of thing as Detroit Become Human, but it reminded me of that a little bit. So,
did you think the trailer for The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit looked intriguing at all?
Not really.
No.
Yeah,
I don't know what to think about it because I didn't play the first game that developer made that it's kind of connected to. But
okay. I didn't know that.
It was like a superhero kind of thing, a little kid wanted to be one and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, what was weird about it was like I want to see what the actual gameplay is like, because everything that trailer showed us was kind of just story stuff, and I wasn't real impressed with the art direction.
I think those games, I'm not 100% sure, and I could be totally wrong about this, but I think that game and the one before it was called Life is Strange are those kind of like story-driven Telltale-esque games, but I'm not 100% sure.
Grady Child says there's something called a Steam Link, which costs $50 and is something that hooks from your PC and streams to your TV. But I thought there was also a thing that was just
It
was just directly connected to to connect to your TV that would use your Wi-Fi, right?
So I have what's called the Steam box thing you were talking about. I don't know if they even make them anymore, because this is something Steam tried to do like 5 years ago and it didn't really take off. They're like little console-sized gaming PCs, and I just use mine as a regular computer because it was a decently priced gaming PC when I was shopping for one at the time with decent specs. It's kind of old now. It's about like 5-6 years old. And the Steam Link thing that he's talking about, I don't know how that works or how well it works. I've heard that streaming games is not a good time in terms of like the quality of the visuals and the frame rates and stuff. I've heard people have trouble with that stuff, but maybe Steam works better than whatever. I think Sony.
I will say the streaming service on PS4 is really solid if you have a good connection.
Oh, really? Because that's the one I've heard everyone complain about. That's interesting.
I had really good luck with it. It would glitch out occasionally, but it didn't move slow or anything.
Interesting.
Like I would maybe in say like a 2-hour session, it would maybe glitch out on me like once or twice, which being a streaming thing and given you know like how heavy the graphical capability of that is and everything, like it was impressive to me that it didn't glitch out more than it did. But I have a really good internet connection, so
okay, that makes sense.
It probably really depends on who you're with.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, like if I was still with the same company I was a year ago when we used to have as many problems as we did making these live shows, there'd be no way I'd be able to do that, and it would have been a waste of money.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's take some more questions. If anybody wants to ask us anything before Dan and I bid you adieu, we're going to hang out for another 5 minutes or so, unless we get a whole bunch of questions, and then maybe we'll hang for a little bit longer. We'll just see what happens. But I haven't seen a whole lot of comments, but I think that's just because we're not answering anything. We're not responding to them.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of people talking about King Arthur for a while. I was like, that's interesting that this conversation turned into a discussion about King Arthur.
Yeah, there was a bunch of Batman talk earlier, probably partly because I've been streaming Arkham Asylum lately.
A lot of people are asking about Death Stranding, the Kojima game that's starring Norman Reedus and Del Toro. Involved with it. Mm-hmm. The game looks like Norman Reedus walking around with a baby, and it's weird, and I don't know anything about it other than the fact that it's Norman Reedus and there's a baby in it. So I don't know. Kojima's the guy who made the Metal Gear games. He's kind of an auteur in the video game industry. He's very well known. He's kind of like a rock star in the industry. So a lot of people are excited about that game. Again, never owned a Sony console, never really played any of his games, so I'm not too excited about it. But maybe I'll play it when it comes out. I don't know if it's gonna. I think it's gonna be a Sony exclusive thing, so I don't think I'm even gonna be able to play it. But I'm sure that people that like his games will enjoy it when it comes out. Those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, it didn't really leave an impression on me right away. Didn't seem like my kind of thing, so I don't know. Cinematographic wants to know how Dan feels about Spider-Man Unlimited. Are we talking about the little cartoon show, the short-lived cartoon show? Is that what we're talking about?
No, he's got to be talking about the short-lived Spider-Man Unlimited comic series from the 90s that no one else remembers.
Oh yeah, I have like an issue of that. Yeah,
well, because it's part of Maximum Carnage. That's why.
Oh,
they launched that with.
You're right. No. Now that I'm thinking about it, I have to have 2 issues of that because it bookends with 1 and 2.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that now. Yes, of course. Anyway,
but
so what do you think of that? What do you think of the 2 issues? We've already reviewed that, guys. We did that a long time ago.
Spider-Man Unlimited, what I've read of that series is not fantastic. The TV show is also not fantastic.
Yeah, that's my thinking as well. Green Goblin was kind of interesting.
Yeah, so Spider-Man Unlimited is a weird show because it looks like it wants to be Spider-Man 2099. I don't know why they just make it a Spider-Man 2099
I know, right?
So, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Rin Davis wants us to mention Kingdom Hearts 3. Were you a Kingdom Hearts guy?
No, because again, I couldn't play any of them because they were PS2 exclusive.
Oh, is that exclusive? I didn't even realize that.
The new ones aren't. Like Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to come out on Xbox and PlayStation, but I think the first 2 were PS2 exclusives, and I never played them. So
are you not going to bother with it?
My girlfriend likes those games, so maybe she'll buy them and I'll watch her play them or something. But like, it's not something that I'm like trying to get the bit to play. And I'm honestly like not a gigantic Disney fan. Like their films, like I don't. I like their films, but I'm not like a fanatic about them in the sense that like I buy the merchandise and like I'm interested in playing a game all about Disney stuff necessarily. Like if they had Star Wars and Marvel stuff in there, like I'd be much more inclined to look at it. But just like the trailer they put out with E3 is all about Frozen stuff, and I'm like I don't know, like
it's got they're making a video on Frozen, and there's like a shot with Wreck-It Ralph, and I can't get really excited about it either.
Cool, like I like
but
that.
That's just because I also didn't play those, and am not a big RPG guy, and have a hard time imagining sinking hours and hours into a thing like that. But my son wants to play it, so.
Yeah, I heard they're really great games. They're beloved. They have a huge fan base. So I'm sure they're great for people that have played them. I just don't have an opinion because I've never really.
Cinnamon Graphics says he's talking about the costume. I don't know what he's talking about with Spider-Man Unlimited. I don't know what he means.
Oh, the Spider-Man Unlimited costume from the TV show?
I'm not sure if he means the TV show or something else.
The costume also is not fantastic. So I don't know.
I suspect he's talking about something that's not related to that show, but I don't know what else it would be.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I guess we'll find out. Oh yeah, that's right. Monsters Inc. and Toy Story are also in the game, which is cool.
Yeah, Toy Story is cool. Monsters Inc. is cool, but I'm much more of a Toy Story fan than.
Well, Monsters Inc. is my favorite, so deal with it. It would be really funny if they put cars in there just to annoy people.
I don't understand why people hate cars. I like the first movie. It's cool.
I got one.
I don't know. I really liked that movie when it came out. And there was a video game that was a tie-in for it. There was a racing game that was actually pretty fun.
Oh, really? Because I played a couple that were super mediocre.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe it was a mediocre one that I liked when I was a kid. That's entirely possible.
Oh, hi, Matt. I haven't seen you in a while. Matt Slaniker's in the comments. He says we should chat about Devil May Cry 5, which I don't know enough about Devil May Cry, so I have nothing to say about that. I'm sorry.
I have never seen The Devil Cry. I have never played any of those games.
But so. It may though.
I have never seen the devil contemplate crying, so.
Wow. I didn't realize that you weren't familiar with those.
No.
I don't know nothing about. Are those hack and slashy? What are they?
They are. They're
okay.
You play this guy named Dante, and you fight people with swords.
I mean, I would play that. That sounds like a thing I would play, but
yeah.
But I heard is that game that's supposed to be like just like Wicked Impossible?
I think you maybe think of Ninja Gaiden.
No, that too, yeah, but
maybe
I thought Devil May Cry also was kind of notorious for at least the first one or two being that was bad grammar. I'll just move on. The
only thing I know about Devil May Cry is the main character's name is Dante and he fights people with a sword. So I'm not sure. But
yeah, those are some of Matt's favorite games. He's like, haha, they're some of my favorite games. And, I'm sorry, Matt, we just haven't played them. He says that he uses guns also.
Oh, cool.
Because you said he uses a gun, and Matt was like, hey, he also uses a sword. Hey, he also uses guns. Yep. Matt says that the third one is super hard. Yeah, I know I had heard that one of those was just like really, really impossible. I must have heard that back when I worked at a game store.
And I guess there was a huge hullabaloo about like when they rebooted it, like everyone hated the new design of the character and stuff, and the internet freaked out, and I could not relate because I didn't care. But
Thomas wants to know if we play Fortnite. I had never even heard of that until they did the launch commercial for the one on Switch. I don't know anything about that except for what I looked at.
Fortnite is the biggest game in the world right now.
Yeah, that is all I know about it.
Did you know that they put Thanos in it for a while when Infinity War came out?
Did they really? That's crazy.
Yeah, so there was a whole mode where you could get the Infinity Gauntlet, you turn to Thanos, and you fight everyone as Thanos.
Oh, that's fun. Can you make like half of your opponents disappear?
I never played it. My roommate plays Fortnite a bit on my Xbox. I've watched him play before. It's one of those battle royale games, like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. I'm not into that kind of stuff at all, so I don't play them. I think it's a good get for Nintendo to get Fortnite on the Switch, though. To have the biggest game in the world currently. Those games seem to go through like big fad cycles, so who knows how long it'll stay on top. Like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds was the most popular thing in the world for like a year, and now that's kind of dropping out because Fortnite has become the biggest thing in the world. So I don't know how much longer they'll be able to sustain that player base. I'm sure they'll do something to make everyone angry, and the internet will freak out, and everyone will make YouTube videos about how Fortnite is ruined, and everyone will leave. But currently, I have no opinion on the game because my game of choice when I go home to play multiplayer stuff has been Battlefront 2. I haven't.
What is that? what is that multiplayer car thing with different skins that everybody's playing right now?
That is Rocket League, and
Rocket League. Yeah, that's another thing that I keep wondering.
For a while.
That's another thing I keep wondering when that's gonna drop off.
I don't hear anyone talk about it anymore.
Oh, maybe it has
dropped off, but I don't. Yeah. I'm not aware of how.
I just didn't think it seemed like a thing that could last for very long. To me, it's got Batmobiles. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I heard it was really fun, but I'm not sure what the status of it is.
Like my thing, but I think that and Fortnite both sound like things Jason would play.
I think Jason would enjoy Fortnite. Yeah, it's a very cartoony shooter, so it's not like it doesn't go for the ultra realism kind of thing.
I'm glad it's on Switch because it looks like a Nintendo thing. I know they didn't make it, but it looks like Nintendo could have designed that.
It does, yeah, I agree.
Not far and away from something like what's the paintball game they have? Just the multiplayer kind of paint thing. I can't remember the name of that. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
Paintball.
I can't think of it. Nintendo with the squiddy guys. Yeah, that game, right? Yeah, it looks like a thing Nintendo could have made.
Yes.
Let's see. Thank you. Yeah, Splatoon. I just couldn't think of it right away. That game was weird. That was the thing I thought I would really like, and I ended up not caring for it.
Oh, did you get the second one for Switch?
I rented it, and I don't know. I think it was just the aesthetic. I just didn't care for it, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that on Switch. There's no local multiplayer. That made no sense to me. I would think that would be the reason you would put that on Switch. I didn't get that, and it just wasn't a thing I could get excited about playing online. People keep asking us what we think about character designs in the Spider-Man game. I'm indifferent. Everything looks fine to me.
Yeah, I don't really like the Spider-Man costume, to be honest. I think it looks dumb.
Oh, really? Interesting.
The big white spider on the red suit looks weird. He should just be wearing the black suit if you want to put a giant white spider on Spider-Man's chest. I don't know.
But people are asking about the villain.
I'm kind of indifferent too. Yeah,
Electro and all that. Like, I don't know. We're always trying to come up with new ways to make those characters, and I'm kind of numb to it now. Like, I'm never
the comic book designs at this point. You know, I agree.
Now, to their credit, I understand why they're doing that because they want to carve out their own universe that's separate from that and has its own aesthetic. They're trying to do the Arkham thing.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if that ends up working. And the thing is, like, I don't know what it is. There were already a million other designs for Batman villains also, but somehow the Arkham aesthetic seemed like really unique and it felt consistent to me. And this doesn't immediately make me go, oh, cool, this it has this really unique style yet, but I might feel differently after I played it.
Yeah. I'm just hoping there's alternate skins for Spider-Man, and I'm sure there will be where you can play like in an actually cool-looking suit. That'd be great.
I don't mind the suit. It's kind of screaming, look, the suit looks different.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. All of the messing with what Spider-Man's suit looks like, just don't mess with perfection, please. Don't reinvent the wheel. Spider-Man should, I don't know.
But I never felt like that with Batman. Like when Arkham kind of redesigned the Bat, I guess it's not a redesign so much as it is just it's more armored because they're trying to.
Yeah, it's just like
bulkier, more grounded.
It's just bulkier animated series Batman and with armor, you know.
Yeah, that's
true. And longer ears.
And and with Spider-Man, it's they feel like they have to kind of reinvent the wheel a little bit. Yeah, that's fair. Like I said, I don't hate it, but I get why you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's so atrocious that I'm upset about it. It's just, I just think it looks kind of dumb, you know? I don't know which one I dislike more, the Infinity War suit or the one in this game. They both look really dumb. But anyway.
Yeah, well, everyone's entitled to their opinion, even if they're wrong. I still like the Infinity War suit, so there. Although, I will say, I didn't like it as much in action as I did when it wasn't on him. Because I was one of the few people at the end of Homecoming that was like, no, that looks cool. And then everybody's like, Cat's an idiot. That suit is terrible. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. And I like, cower in a corner. And then we see it in Infinity War, and I was like, I'm going to be vindicated. And then I'm like, it's fine.
It just looks like the Ben Reilly costume. And you're like, why would we want to remember this?
I didn't even think of that until Eric mentioned it. And then I was like, oh, yeah, it kind of does look like that.
It's almost exactly the same. Yeah.
I wish we could just put a Scarlet Spider suit on screen, though. That would be really killer.
Well, they did that in Homecoming. The prototype costume he's got is basically the Scarlet Spider costume.
It's kind of Scarlet Spider. That's true. That's true.
It's the blue hoodie with the red under thing.
I know, but I want it to be ripped up, and it's not as cool as when Ben Reilly wore it. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe when Sony has their Spider-Man universe and they have to use Ben Reilly instead of
Wouldn't
Peter
it
Parker,
be amazing if they made a Scarlet Spider movie that was not a Spider-Man movie?
I mean, and they cast Tom Holland because he's a clone.
Or if it was just like they claim he's a clone, but it's just a totally different character, and because they're not making Spider-Man movies, they don't even tell you who he's a clone of. And it's just
God. At this point, they've greenlit a Morbius movie. I would not be surprised.
Hi Connor, how are you doing, man? Well, Eric, sorry, I'm always working with Eric. Dan, I think that's gonna do it for us, unless you have other things you wanted to mention.
Let's see if there's a question that I didn't see. That's cool.
I didn't really see anything else. A lot of people are just talking amongst themselves now. Somehow we spurned people into talking amongst themselves again when we were answering questions, when before that people were just not saying anything because we weren't answering questions.
Someone asked me what I thought of Infinity War Ren Davis. I thought Infinity War was pretty good. I quite liked it. Did you
Good
see
review, Dan. That was a nice review. Well done.
Did you see the new Jurassic Park movie yet? That movie was a riot, huh?
Dude, that is one of the most fun bad movies I've seen in a really long time.
Yeah,
it doesn't work, but I cannot say I was not entertained, man. I've been twice. I liked it better the second time. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. We can talk about that later. We're gonna do some spoiler talk about that on the Omnibus on Sunday. Dan, if you happen to be around, you come on and talk with us about it. It's gonna be hilarious.
The ending to that movie, I was just like, this is the best thing ever.
It doesn't make any sense.
I know.
Oh man. Or at least what they're claiming is going on there doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm being cryptic because people don't want me to spoil that movie.
Yeah. The one other question I saw was someone's asking here if we could cosplay as any video game character, who would we choose?
Oh boy, that's fun. I'm gonna go because I like to try to answer this differently every time, and I usually go with characters that are covered head to toe because I'm short and I don't look like a lot of different things. There are some things I can kind of pull off okay, but not a lot. This time I'm gonna go with Metalhead from Ninja Turtles.
That's a pretty cool one. I'm trying to think because has Metalhead ever been in a video game?
Did it say for video games?
Yeah, that's what I said, and that's what he said too.
Oh, I thought you said just if you could cosplay as anybody.
No, any video game character.
Oh, I missed that. Oh, no, he hasn't. But thanks for humoring me and pretending like I wasn't being daft.
No, but
okay,
a cool one. Like I would like to see him.
I've never seen anybody do that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You throw yours out, and I'll think of one.
Well, I mean, there are obvious ones for me. Like I've gone for Halloween before as Link and Luigi because they're like my two favorite video game Nintendo characters.
Sure.
I'm trying to think of other characters that'd be cool. I mean, like Master Chief would be cool, but like I feel like that's a stereotypical choice as well. Most of the games I play as, like I play, are like RPG games where your character is someone that you create. So you have to just kind of like cosplay as a person from that universe. Like I feel like it would be cool to like, the power armor from Fallout. I feel like that would be a really cool costume to do. Yeah.
A lot of the characters that I really like in video games that I would want to see cosplayed would be things I couldn't do, and a lot of them would be women. Like, I want to see somebody do Sarah from Virtual Fighter. I want to see somebody do, like, Knights from Knights into Dreams, but I'm having a hard time thinking of things that I could do.
You could be Dr. Robotnik, just have a giant mustache.
Yeah, I thought just go around like a big dome, like ship thing.
Yeah, so make a giant dome around your computer chair and then just scoot around in it.
Turok the Dinosaur Hunter.
That would be fun.
but I can't do that because I don't have muscles.
That's why you get Halloween muscles, Captain Logan.
Oh yeah, it's just video game character. See, once again, I gotta do something head to toe.
I'm trying to think if there's any other ones.
Yeah, they're really good, solid ones.
And
a lot of
I'm
my
a
favorite
big Sonic fan, but I feel like it's hard to cosplay as any of those characters.
It's hard to make it look
cool.
good. That's what I was gonna say. Is a lot of the characters I like in video games are anthropomorphized animals, or they're so stylized they wouldn't look good in like normal, personness. That's a good sentence. Yeah, I don't know.
I could maybe do some of the Warcraft characters. I feel like that'd be pretty cool. I mean, like, my favorite Warcraft characters are all Horde characters, so they're all like giant monster people. So that would be a difficult costume as well. But like, if I could, cosplay as like Thrall or something, that'd be cool.
I could do the kid from Zombies Ate My Neighbors with the 3D glasses and the water gun.
I feel like it would be cool to cosplay as something from a series of infamously bad NES games, like the kind of games that the Angry Video Game Nerd would review.
Yeah,
that would be a pretty cool thing. I bet people do that.
Like what? Like Jekyll, like the Jekyll and Hyde game that he always complains about.
Yeah, or the version of Batman. Well, this isn't a bad game, but the version of Batman from the '89 game where he has like the purple suit and stuff. Like, I feel like that would be a cool.
That would be an amazing cosplay. I had that action figure.
Yeah, the action figure, they put that out a couple of years ago, didn't they?
Quite a while back.
It's in a window box and stuff. It's really nice.
5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. I've got it right back here. I'll see if I can grab it real quick.
Oh, nice.
Okay, that's not what I thought it was. I thought it was right behind me. But anyway, it's a cool figure. Whatever.
Yeah, it's cool.
Anyway.
But yeah, I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head here.
Thomas says I should go as Connor from Detroit. I would just be depressed the whole time. Oh, man. That game, that was so depressing.
Was it?
Well, my ending was really depressing because I made mistakes at the end. I was doing really well. It looked like at least a couple of my guys were going to come out real altruistic and selfless. And then I ended up making mistakes at the end that made them kind of either really bad people or get really messed up. And one of my 3 guys made it out alive, so that was good.
Nice.
But yeah, it was really depressing. All I'll say is robot concentration camp.
Oh my God. That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was a really sad hour, and I had a lot of upset people in the comments for the live stream for that. They were like, "Oh, Cap, you done effed it up."
Oh God.
There was a lot of that. Yeah.
Somebody's asking us what we think the subtitles for Avengers 4 should be.
I will not get into that conjecture yet. I don't want to do it because we don't know anything about the story of that, and anything I come up with either ends up being like, well, this would be the story they would have to tell, or would be such a vague, ambiguous kind of title, it would be really disappointing and would make no sense that they haven't given us the title yet. So I can't give you anything.
Jokingly, I would go with Avengers: Dust in the Wind.
All we are is dust in the wind.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they went with something like Avengers Disassembled, like name it after some comic arc, like they did with Age of Ultron. That's not even at all related to what they're actually doing in the story of the film.
See, Eric might be rubbing off too much on me, but I feel a little bit like him in that if it's something like that, I'm gonna cry foul really hard because it doesn't make sense that they haven't given us that title yet, and they've never held a title that close to their chest before. It's just really strange they're doing that. I'm not even saying that I'm upset that we don't know what it is. I'm saying that that's a really interesting move, and I'm constantly wondering and curious about why they're doing that. And so if it ends up just being a title that they could have given us and it would have told us nothing, I'm going to be kind of disappointed because I want to know why we haven't gotten it.
Yeah, I feel like whatever they do, they're not going to be able to live up to the hype that they've kind of set for themselves with that.
I think that's true, but it should at least give something away, right? Like, it's really weird. Now, my prediction is, well, okay, this was my prediction until Eric kind of broke my prediction. Originally, what I was saying was I figure we'll get the title of it finally at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like next week, you'll get to the end of those credits, and it will say Ant-Man and the Wasp will return in Avengers, whatever Avengers is, right?
Oh, you think so?
That's what I thought originally. And part of that's because Marvel has been making a big deal out of there is something in that movie that's going to matter for Avengers 4. And I hope it's more than just...
That's the only reason I'm going to that movie.
I hope it's more than just Ant-Man matters in that movie, because we already know that. Like, that's not news. We we know he's going to factor majorly in Avengers 4. So like that's not news. But then Eric suggested maybe it's not going to be that as far as the title thing goes, and maybe we won't get it until we get to Captain Marvel, because that movie is probably going to factor a great deal more in setting up things.
Yeah,
like in the past that lead us to things that we'll get in the future. So I think that's actually probably more likely at this point. But crazy to imagine that they would hold it that close to their chest that long. We're talking months before the fourth film comes out. It's
going to be interesting to see what the trajectory for the MCU is going to be after that, because I feel like you're right, that may be determinative of what the title is. Because one of the big classic Avengers arcs is the Kree-Skrull War, and it looks like we're going to be dealing with some of that stuff with Captain Marvel, and in the future if they do Secret Invasion. I don't see them calling the next movie Kree-Skrull War, because they need to set that stuff up.
Or even Secret Invasion. Yeah. It would be really weird to shoot that out that fast. I'm in the camp that suggests that that's probably the next big phase, that we're probably leading to that, and that'll be the next Thanos. That's my guess. So that's why I can't even begin to conjecture what that title is, because if it ends up not being about the Skrulls, I don't know what it is.
I think now that they have X-Men back, if I had creative control of Marvel, I would make a big cosmic scale war between the Kree, the Skrulls, and the Shi'ar for control of the galaxy, now that the power vacuum of Thanos has been vacated. Well,
two things. First of all, they don't quite have X-Men back yet. There is still the potential that doesn't end up happening.
The antitrust people just approved it, and they accepted the deals yesterday. So
did they actually accept it though, or are they still waiting for Comcast to come back? That's the part I hadn't heard yet.
They accepted it, and the antitrust the government approved it. So
no, I knew the government approved it, but I didn't know if Comcast was going to try to bid again.
Fox accepted their bid, so I don't know if that can be reversed now.
All right.
Yeah.
No, that's good to know. But obviously, that's not going to affect Avengers 4. It's shot.
Yeah, I'm just saying, in the future. I'm not saying Avengers 4. I'm saying if the trajectory in the future, that's what I think.
No, I'm with you. But I think that would have to even happen even quite a bit later, because they're on their way to stuff.
Sure.
Surely they're going to have their ducks more in a row this time than they did last time, as far as...
Yeah, I mean, you would hope so. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I'm just very interested to see where they're going to go with it after this, and whether or not I'm going to be interested in even the future of that universe moving forward. We'll see.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Because if they kill off all the characters I care about, I will go see the Spider-Man movies they make, and if the movies are all about characters that I'm not really interested in, I don't know that I'll keep seeing them, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, so far there's enough people that they have to keep around that I will stay invested.
Sure. Yeah, like Black Panther.
I love Black Panther.
Other than that, I'm trying to think.
Well, and we know that the third Guardians movie is going to be the last one with that exact permutation of the team. So if they do more Guardians after that, it's going to be a different group.
Yeah, and I don't love the Guardians movies as much as everyone else either. So I'm I liked the first one and the second. Well, I liked the second one more than the first one. They were fine, fun movies, but they wouldn't be a big draw for me to stay invested either necessarily. So I don't know. Well, that's a totally different discussion that should be a part of this video, I guess. But
yeah, no, I'm not sure why we're even doing this right now, but here we are. Dan and I don't get to hang out enough, so this is just potpourri, everything Dan and I might talk about in one video. The thing is, the 10-minute video we just made would be one a bunch of people would be interested in clicking on.
That's very true.
And they're not even going to know it was here.
That's very true.
But I guess I could take it out and make it an excerpt. But
We should do a video on the future of the MCU and where we think it's going.
We should, especially because you and I are kind of interested in some different things, and I'm more positive on than you are, and
yeah, definitely. I think it would be cool to get.
We should. That'd be good. We're only going to have so much time together this summer, so we should probably get some of that kind of stuff knocked down.
No. Oh, people are asking about the Spider-Man title, the Far From Home thing. Yeah, I mean, I wish we didn't have to have home in every title for our Spider-Man movies. That's kind of weird.
All I'm saying is if this one's got home in it, the third one better have home in it. Because I don't want it to be like a reverse Dark Knight thing where it's like we got two movies called Dark Knight something and then another one that doesn't. And so it'd be really funny if the third movie was just, Web of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I do like the idea of Spider-Man like going and traveling and stuff though, because that's like something he does in the very early comics. Like he goes to Florida to fight the Lizard. He travels about the country doing stuff in the early books. The Stan Lee, Steve Ditko stuff which they pulled so much inspiration from. So that's not surprising. The fact that it's in Europe, or at least it's rumored that Europe will be one of, if not the main setting of the film, tells me that they're probably going to introduce Gwen Stacy because whenever she's sad or depressed, that's where she goes. In the Stan Lee run on the books. So I'm just excited to see a sequel to that movie because I loved the first one so much. I thought it was great. So yeah.
Yep. Well, Dan, I need to get going, but everybody, thanks a lot for watching. We sure appreciate it. Somebody asked if I was doing any Arkham streaming tonight. I am not. I'm going to go see a movie late tonight, so I will not be around for that. But, did I have to say that out loud? No, it's
after we end.
It's no big deal. No, I'm going to see the documentary about Fred Rogers.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
That's playing finally, so I'm going to go see that. But anyway, then tomorrow night, assuming that Brandon and I are able to get our schedules together, we're going to start the Deadpool playthrough. So that'll be late tomorrow night because it's Deadpool. We don't want to do that too early for the kids. So like 9-ish or whatever, somewhere around there. But I'll let folks know the exact time when I have it tomorrow, and then maybe some more Arkham streaming over the weekend. I say over the weekend. Saturday's probably about the only day it might happen. But I've got to prepare for the omnibus, and I've got a lot of that done already, but I have a little bit more to do. So still have a couple movies to watch and some comics to read and stuff. So we're doing a 3-week rotation now, or 3 weeks in between Omnibuy, and that's been a good thing and a bad thing because we Dan, we have so much content right now that we don't need to do it every 2 weeks because it takes me 3 weeks to get all of the individual segments posted. Otherwise, I'm putting a bunch up in one day. But at the same time, having 3 weeks of content, it's a crazy amount of content. So Eric and I sit down and we get together, and like it was already like a 7-hour show, and it's sometimes longer than that now. So, but yeah, it gets crazy. Well, that it's basically like planned, procrastination.
Yeah.
So it's like we don't, just because we don't have the time every day to get together and shoot things now. So we do it all together, and then we spread it out over weeks, and people like it, and it's been going really well. But it's one night of a lot of stuff, and it's a wonderful problem to have. We're getting so many requests right now that I can't do them all in one show, of course. But then doing them in having 3 weeks in between, I like to try to do a few more if I can. And make sure that people are getting their requests as often as I can give them, since we've got patrons giving me $20 a month to do that. And that was monthly, and now it's not quite monthly. It's not it's not like once every 2 months, but it's not quite monthly anymore. So that's been kind of a thing I've been trying to figure out. But
oh, cool. Well, I'm sure the future of the channel will be bright no matter what you do. So
thanks, Dan. But, only if you quit being a lawyer and come and hang out with us on the channel.
I wish. Believe me. There are days where I really wish I could do those things. Oh, man.
Well, one of these days you won't be in law school all the time. You'll have a little bit more time. And
yeah, I'm hoping that's the case. I'm not going to share any soul-crushing stories about what I've heard it's like to work in the legal profession in private practice, because people will probably turn the show off because that's boring. But we can talk about it another time.
Absolutely. Well, once again, folks, thanks a bunch for watching. Like I said, Grady Childs not streaming Arkham tomorrow night because I'm going to be doing Deadpool, and it is impossible to stream 2 video games at the same time. So yeah.
Last question before we go. Someone asked if I still like plungers. That is a deep cut, dude.
Plungers.
That is a deep cut. You've been watching our videos for a long time. That's awesome.
We found Dan during the first season of Who Reviews the Reviewers.
Yeah,
way back when we were doing our
plunger, and they still let me continue to be on the show for some reason.
It was hardly a review.
I know. That's why I'm saying it was terrible.
Oh no, Grady, I'm sorry. You said tomorrow night. Oh, and then you said Saturday. Okay, no, I'm sorry. That is what you said. Like I said, Saturday would be the only time I would be able to do that, and I'm not sure yet. So it might happen.
Oh, okay. I thought he was saying tomorrow night was Saturday. I was like, I'm pretty sure.
That's what I thought for a second, and then I was like, oh wait, no. He's just trying to figure out. He's trying to make sure I play Arkham again really soon. That's
okay.
So, but thanks for the interest, guys. And anyway, it's been a fun week with that. I've been doing better than I thought I would, Dan. I think I'm some like. I don't know, like 23, 24% through the game.
Are you going to try to 100% it?
No, I'm just going to get to the end of it.
Yeah, that's
I got 10% of the Riddler trophies. That's probably the most I've ever gotten of Riddler trophies. So,
yeah, I like the Riddler trophies, but I could never bring myself to find all of them for whatever reason. Yeah.
Grady Childs, no, I will not. I will not drop this like I did Arkham Knight. The streaming makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
A lot of why I had to drop that was just the time to edit and stuff. Because I would get stuck in places and I got self-conscious about it. So I would go in and I would like try to cut out the places where I got stuck. And it was just too much work with all the other things I was doing anyway.
Yeah, someone keeps saying in the chat, I keep saying last thing, but this is the last thing I want to say before we go. Just because I feel bad, like Jeffrey Patron has been saying like the entire time that I should watch Legion. It's really good. I haven't watched it. I've heard it's really great. I would like to watch it at some point, but there are too many goddamn TV shows on TV.
There really are.
Time for any of them. So
no, I mean I have that too. The thing is, he had to pay me to watch that show. Jeffrey had to like.
Oh really?
Yeah. Jeffrey had to give me a donation request before I finally sat down and watched that. And he sent it to me in the mail to make sure that I did it. And it was really super nice of him. And no, Dan, I've only watched the pilot, but it is spectacular.
I wish people paid me to watch TV shows. That would be awesome. No, I'm just joking.
I mean, it's it's nuts that people donate for that. And I'm very, very grateful. I don't mean to brag about
it. I'm just teasing. But yeah, I've you.
They would if you were here all the time, man. They they folks donate to see Eric do stuff.
I know. I've been in my little spare time. I have been reading Star Wars old expanded universe stuff, and I kind of want to make videos on them, but just don't have time to write and edit scripts for them. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean that's part of why I do more off the cuff stuff now.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we better get going. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. We sure appreciate it. And Dan and I will be with you again in the not too distant future, I'm sure, with another video. We're talking about some different things. So hopefully in a couple weeks at least. I am Captain Logan.
And I am Dan.
See you later, guys. Bye.